Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. People at Marvel, join the group chat. Chapter 91. Thor's thing. That is an obvious situation, and it is useless to pay attention to it. And he wasn't interested in Mjolnir or Uru alloy at all. Anyone who has the qualifications to lift Mjolnir will gain the power of Thor. To put it bluntly, as long as it meets the conditions for Odin's spell, it can be easily lifted, or you can simply break the spell directly. If I remember correctly, the original condition was a person who is just, kind, and recognized by Mjolnir. Although it is not funny to use this hammer to measure whether a person is pure of heart, brave and fearless, just and kind, it is definitely not correct. The prerequisites for lifting the hammer were established by Odin. Only justice and goodness that are in line with Odin's knowledge can lift Mjolnir. Is the justice and kindness that Odin recognizes absolute? It's certainly not absolute. Therefore, using Mjolnir as a measurement condition is a matter of wrong prerequisites. The spell Odin cast on Mjolnir was nothing new. There are many similar things. The Ancient One can do it, he can do it, even Wanda at home can do it now. There's nothing unusual about this stuff. There is absolutely no need to get involved. After informing Tony about the incident in Mexico, Moyu stopped paying attention. 1/3 of the mind is spent in the group chatting with the idol and board group members. 1/3 is placed in the dark plane, leading the analysis of major abilities. The last part is used to test the remaining power areas of the Samsara Eye except for the reverse flow of time. I have to say that the Otsutsuki clan's reincarnation eye does contain many mysteries. Including the major elements of life, death, time, and space, it is also a bit difficult to research and develop. Time flew by. One day at noon. Mr. Moyu, what do you want to have for lunch? Well, you can just arrange it. Okay, by the way, sir, Ancient One Magician just contacted me and said that he couldn't find it. Let me remind you that it is possible to be careful when manipulating time. It is possible to interfere with the normal operation of time. Eaten back by time. I've written it down. Is there anything else? Well, yes. The Ancient One Magician said that if you, sir, are at home today, remember to go to Kamar-Taj in the evening to discuss it. He said that the agreed time has been advanced. When Wanda said these words, she felt a little weird. Mr. Mingming has been at home these days, and he hasn't gone out today. Why does the Ancient One Magician say that Mr. Moyu can't be found when he's not at home? Has the agreed time been advanced as well? Hearing this, Moyu suddenly opened his eyes. There is only one thing he has a clear agreement with the Ancient One. That is the matter of borrowing the Time Stone and contacting the Soul Gem. The Ancient One Magician actually advanced the agreed time. Maybe he saw some weird future again. Wanda, don't make me lunch. I'll go to Kamar-Taj. Since the Ancient One Magician invited himself to go to Kamar-Taj for an appointment at night, it was impossible not to go. Not only do you have to go early. I see. Wanda nodded with a smile on her face. Sir, are you coming back tonight? Uncertain. Moyu stood up from the recliner and shook his head slightly. I don't know what will happen here, but I will inform you before coming back. Quote. Wanda pursed her lips. Please be careful. I will. Moyu nodded, and his figure instantly disappeared. Looking at the place where Moyu's figure disappeared, Wanda felt a little disappointed. How about just saying no? Pietro's figure appeared next to Wanda like a ghost, and said helplessly. If you don't tell me, nothing will ever change. My husband's mind has never been on this. If you don't take the initiative to break this layer of window paper, you will only feel hungry. Are you itchy? Wanda turned and glared at Pietro. Hey, this is for your own good. Pietro shrugged. Anyway, my suggestion has arrived. If you don't like to listen to it, I can't do anything. Is it possible that you still want me to come? Wanda's eyes lit up. That's a good suggestion. When Sir comes back, can you help me test it out? Hey, this is fatal. Pietro's eyes twitched. No, you can do it yourself. I'm leaving. Bye. I don't need to prepare lunch. I'll go run around the earth a few times and come back. Realizing that something was wrong, Pietro, who seemed to be on the verge of getting burned, decisively chose to retreat. It would be inappropriate for him to talk to Moyu about these things. Seeing Pietro disappear, Wanda angrily turned around and lay down on the sofa, covering her head with the magic book above. At the same time, the inner sanctum of the Kamar-Taj library. Moyu's figure slowly solidified. Are you at home today? Looking at the sudden appearance, Ancient One didn't panic at all and asked without looking back. Of course. Moyu smiled and nodded. All right. Ancient One shook his head helplessly and turned around, staring at Moyu with complicated eyes. I can't understand you anymore. Before, I could barely see your existence in time, but now I can't find you at all. Disappear directly from time. This kind of situation has never been encountered even by Ancient One who has experienced strong winds and waves. Moyu spread his hands. I just designed a new set of time defense measures for myself. I wasn't sure about it at first, but now it seems that it works quite well. You, Ancient One's eyes twitched. Is it really necessary to be so careful? You make me feel like there's something scary chasing you behind you. It's very necessary. Moyu nodded solemnly. There's nothing chasing me. I just want to grow constantly. Since there are weaknesses and we can make up for them, we must try our best to make up for them. Hearing this, Ancient One just nodded and then said, the road to growth is full of thorns and temptations, you have to be careful. Thank you. Moyu nodded. I know this, so I am very cautious. People who pursue power will become slaves of the calendar area if they are not careful. The devil knows this all too well. So he has been very cautious. Now that you're here, let's get started. As soon as he finished speaking, Jiyu already looked at the Eye of Agamotto on the altar. That's 10,000. Remove the Eye of Agamotto from the altar. The Ancient One magician looked solemn and crossed his hands to form a seal. The seal took shape, and the Eye of Agamotto opened, revealing the original stone of time within it. This is the time stone. Gently taking out the original time stone, Jiyu looked at Moyu with a solemn expression. This is an unprecedented gamble for me, I choose to believe you, and I hope my intuition is right. Moyu didn't answer. He just raised his hands to form the same seal, and under his guidance, the time gem slowly fell into the palm of his left hand. He gently grasped it with his 5 fingers, and in the next moment, he saw deep purple and turquoise lights intertwining with each other. The power of the 2 rough stones gathered in Moyu's body and quickly merged into one. After closing his eyes and feeling it carefully for a while, Moyu spread his left hand. I will never disappoint those who believe in me. After the words fell, Moyu didn't make any unnecessary moves. He just sat down cross-legged in front of the altar, folded his hands, and all the little gods sank into the dark plane. Looking at this scene, the Ancient One magician smiled and nodded. He also sat cross-legged directly opposite Moyu and slowly closed his eyes. The next moment his mind sank into the dark plane. Moyu's gene engine was running rapidly, allocating all the computing power of other projects, and focused all its efforts on the time stone and the power stone. Start the gene engine, open the limiter, overload the calculation, target, time stone, power stone. Limited unlocking gene engine maintenance time during overload operation, 3 days. Calculation of computing power is completed. Warning, dark energy is insufficient. Energy core switching. Target, power stone. Energy core switching. Switching completed. Current energy, infinite. Item analysis begins. Goal analysis. Current progress, 25%. Estimated solution time, 2,376 hours. Would it take 99 days to concentrate all the computing power on an overload operation? Looking at the progress of the gene engine, Moyu was silent for a moment and ordered again. Start the space-time engine and create a space-time corridor. Time span, 399. The space-time engine is not yet able to safely create a space-time corridor. Forcibly building a space-time corridor may cause damage to the space-time engine, induce time wormholes, and may result in the loss of dark plane data. Do you want to continue? Using the time rough stone as the main component and the space-time engine as the auxiliary program, build a time-space corridor. Moyu gave the order again without any haste, and immediately used a secret method to activate the power of the time stone. Searching. Retrieval completed. Core algorithm replacement in progress. Replacement completed. Current success rate, 100%. The space-time corridor is being constructed. 10%, 50%, lucky. The construction of the space-time corridor is completed. Time ratio, 3:99. Target transfer begins and transfer is completed. Target analysis is accelerating. Estimated completion time, 72 hours. Build a space-time corridor in the dark plane. Only after holding the original stone of time could Moyu dare to do this. After all, the facade is part of the super soldier's identity. Once the dark plane is damaged, genetic data is lost, and the genetic engine is damaged, the consequences are not as serious as usual. In this case, the super soldier may be directly beaten back to his original shape. In addition to the fact that the original physical fitness will not be weakened, he will no longer be able to use other abilities, and will even directly lose the qualification to mobilize dark energy. Definitely, if even the most fundamental genes are damaged or even necrotic, then it will basically be useless. But there is no danger at all right now. After all, the source of Moyu's ability does not only rely on the dark plane. Now that there is still the blessing of the original time stone, there will naturally be no problem. Just as Moyu completed the construction of the time corridor, the Ancient One magician opposite opened his eyes suddenly. He looked at Moyu, who was shrouded in green light, with confusion. He is a born magician. He can use it to this extent just after getting the time stone. It would be a pity not to become the Supreme Master. Ancient One feels very sorry for Moyu's repeated rejection of Sorcerer Supreme's position. How great would it be if the other party agreed? This way, I don't have to worry about the successor of Sorcerer Supreme. I can also leave these bad things behind as early as possible. Too bad, it still has to wait. I don't know if Wanda can stand alone now. Go check it out sometime. Maybe I can retire early with my old bones. But if Wanda also refuses to take over as Sorcerer Supreme? Ancient One frowned slightly and sighed. In the original observation, Strange would be the best one. As for Wanda, the Ancient One magician didn't even consider it at first. After all, it would be too dangerous to let Scarlet Witch become the Sorcerer Supreme or something. But things are different now. Since finding Moyu and Wanda, even Tony has escaped from the constraints of the original timeline and has undergone earth-shaking changes. Among the three, no matter who it is, the plasticity is far greater than that of the original, best, Strange. Comparison is harmful. Zhang Jin's best is now at the bottom. This makes Ancient One feel a little uncomfortable. In silence, the Ancient One magician closed his eyes, silently used astral projection, and left Kamar-Taj as the Holy Spirit. Outside the Empire State Building, the Ancient One in the posture of Holy Spirit watched quietly. The next moment, scarlet mist filled the air, and Wanda, wrapped in red light, flew directly out of the Empire State Building. I discovered it. There was a hint of joy on Ancient One's face. Long time no see, Wanda, it seems you are growing up well. Ancient One magician. Wanda was a little surprised and dispersed the surrounding red mist. It turns out you are here. I thought you were the enemy. Surprise, Ancient One said with a smile. Definitely. Wanda nodded slightly. Does the Ancient One magician want to come in and sit down? That's fine. Ancient One nodded slightly. She was here to see Wanda, so there was no way she could refuse. After bringing the Ancient One magician into the house, Wanda subconsciously made a cup of tea and placed it in front of the Ancient One. Then he sat awkwardly on the sofa opposite, with an expression on his face that he was hesitant to speak. Looking at this scene, Yinyi smiled and said, "Is there anything you want to ask?" "That magician, sir, won't he come back?" Wanda crossed her fingers, looking restless. Ancient One's eyes twitched slightly. "Good guy, it's a lie to invite me in as a guest, but it's true to ask about Moyu's situation, right?" The ominous premonition in my heart became stronger and stronger. An hour later, the Ancient One tried his best to maintain his stiff smile and left the Empire State Building. Now Wanda is not so much a secret magician. Rather, she is more like a housewife. Most of the research on occult techniques is used in the process of making daily life more convenient. I have to say that Wanda's ability is indeed extremely strong. A protective spell, under Wanda's wonderful idea, evolved into several different types of spells. Used to clean dust, used to eliminate oil fumes, and even fully automatic dishwashing, laundry. What makes Ancient One even more speechless is that the Bosat's Thunder, which can kill special evil spirits in one move and can cause considerable damage to Hell Lords, was actually used by Wanda to sterilize. What a flexible use. This control ability is indeed extremely powerful. But this is completely different from what Ancient One expected. Moreover, when she mentioned Sorcerer Supreme, Wanda's confused look made her extremely helpless. Moyu, did this guy not mention the matter of succeeding Sorcerer Supreme to Wanda at all? Wanda didn't touch any of the baits, she dropped tentatively, always choosing to change the subject. The somewhat depressed Ancient One magician had no choice but to leave. It always feels like another promising talent from Sorcerer Supreme is about to get lost. California, Malibu. Tony, who had finished testing the latest armor, walked out of the armor. JARVIS, this one also needs to be eliminated. It is not very easy to use and does not meet my expectations. Tony rubbed his wrist and frowned, obviously dissatisfied with this set of war tools that had just been forged not long ago. Sir, your request has been further improved. However, according to your needs, the design drawings of the 15th generation Mark series have been drawn. Quote, the control terminal of this armor will be connected in series with your neurons to meet many needs such as remote start, remote control, autonomous wearing, etc. It is expected to be completed in 3 hours. Enter the testing phase. Quote, sir, although the reactor on your chest has unlimited energy in theory, its output power can no longer keep up with your needs. It is recommended that you use an external energy supply to maximize the energy output of the armor. There's no rush. Tony shook his head. External energy sources are even more uncontrollable. Once a node is broken, it will be knocked back to its original shape in an instant. JARVIS, let's talk about the progress of nanomaterial research first. Sir, there is only one key point left that has not yet been broken through. There are still flaws in the composite series connection of nanomaterials. Is it possible to break through in terms of materials? Sir, it's a technical problem. I definitely know that there is a problem with the technology. What I'm asking is whether there can be a breakthrough in materials. Tony rolled his eyes. Sir, the existing materials on Earth are not enough to support your unrestrained ideas. Quote, you're really good. Tony gave a thumbs up. How dare you mock your boss? Forget it. Is there any information on the Mexican side I asked you to pay attention to? Sir, the shield you are concerned about has already started taking action, and the target is exactly that hammer. The leader is Agent Phil Coulson, who has had contact with you and Miss Pepper. Hearing this, Tony frowned, but he wasn't too surprised. Can you confirm that the other party is a member of Hydra? It is not possible to confirm at the moment. The other party's information is strictly confidential. The information I can collect is not enough to confirm whether the other party is a member of Hydra. Do you need me to invade the SHIELD internal network? Never mind. Tony shook his head decisively. Now is not the time. If you invade rashly and scare the snake, it will be difficult to handle. JARVIS, do you think that hammer will be the breaking point that Moyu mentioned? Preliminary judgment is that the material that makes up this hammer is extraterrestrial material, and the probability is 90%. In addition, there are 10 pieces of information that you need to read. Let it out and have a look. Tony looked up curiously. A projection quickly appeared in front of my eyes. Among them are some mythical stories about the hammer and the Bifrost. Norse mythology. God, Mjolnir, Bifrost. Tony frowned, but did not refute. In the past, I would probably have dismissed it. But now, having been exposed to too many things and knowing many secrets, his attitude towards this thing is completely different. JARVIS, what do you think is the possibility? Insufficient information. It depends on your judgment, sir. Okay, let's drop it off in 3 hours. Tony nodded slightly. Maybe I can actually meet this so-called Thor. Also, pack and compress the data of the 3 genetic research results for me and send it to that guy Moyu later. This time, my speed is definitely faster than him. Sir, the data has been packaged, but I don't have Mr. Moyu's data transmission channel. Do I need to call for courier? I didn't ask you to come, and I don't need express delivery. Tony took the hard drive handed over by Ben and sent it directly to Moyu through a group private red envelope. No channel in the real world is safe. But if you send it from the group, it will be foolproof. Didn't receive it. Seeing that Moyu didn't accept it for a long time, Toby touched his chin. This guy is probably doing something special again. Sir, the magnetic induction device you placed in the villa suddenly experienced a slight disturbance, as if something came in. Quote. Tony's scalp tightened, tiny thunder and lightning floated on the surface of his body, and he stepped into the armor that he said was not easy to use just now without any hesitation. The next moment, subtle thunder quickly enveloped the surface of the armor. The eyepiece equipped with special sensors quickly scanned the surroundings. Looking at Tony's nervous posture, the Ancient One, who had not actively observed Tony for a short period of time, was suddenly stunned. If her senses were correct, Tony, who was just an ordinary person before, has now acquired extraordinary powers. The Ancient One, completely confused, chose to show up. Hey, you don't know if you are a human or a ghost. Listen. Tony immediately raised his hand, and the pulse cannon mixed with some purple thunder was already aimed. It is rude to break into other people's houses without permission, but I don't care about your rudeness, but, please prove that you are harmless. I am indeed harmless. The Ancient One smiled and shook his head. As for how to prove, well, I came here from the Empire State Building, and Moyu was in retreat at my house to study the original cloth of time. This should gain your trust more. Retreating to study the time stone in seclusion at your home. Okay, I reluctantly believe it. Hearing this, Tony slowly lowered his arms. Please explain your purpose of coming. What are you doing at my house? Time passes slowly. 3 days is neither short nor long. For some, it's almost fleeting. The Ancient One magician was originally like this. But these few days alone were like a year for her. This has been the case since I went to observe 3 Sorcerer Supreme candidates 2 days ago. Future developments have completely departed from predictions. The original, absolute point in time, is already in a state of fragmentation. In the future now, anything can happen. However, the successor of Sorcerer Supreme has not yet been decided, which makes her a little uncomfortable. Magician, what are you worried about? While Ancient One was deep in thought, Moyu's voice slowly sounded. The eyes that had been closed for 3 days were now open and looking at her with a smile on his face. Troubled, I'm tired. The Ancient One magician sighed. No matter how the future develops, there must be a successor to Sorcerer Supreme. I leave this matter to you, I don't care. The Ancient One couldn't think of a better way. He directly chose to pass the blame to Moyu. Moyu blinked and was stunned. Your Majesty, isn't it? This is not part of our agreement. Let him choose the Sorcerer Supreme to succeed him. Can he make the decision on this matter? Could it be that the Ancient One magician had convulsions? How not? The Ancient One magician tilted his head and said with a smile on his face. Didn't you promise to train me a Sorcerer Supreme? As a reward, I will lend you the Time Stone and bring you into contact with the Soul Gem. I remember the content of the agreement correctly. Is that so? Moyu looked at the Ancient One magician with a strange expression. Magician, you are being a bit cheating. I just promised to train Wanda, but I didn't say I would push her to the position of Sorcerer Supreme. Whether she is willing to take this position, I will not interfere. Besides, even if Wanda is not willing, wouldn't you still have Strange among your candidates? He is the best among you, that's what you said, magician. If he guessed correctly, Ancient One should have gone to find Wanda during the 3 days he was in retreat. And it's very likely to be rejected. So this guy just shirks the blame. As expected of a mature man, he is quite thick-skinned. Facing Moyu's strange gaze, Ancient One just shook his head lightly. The absolute point in time has already been broken due to the accident that happened to you and Tony. I am not sure now whether Strange will still go to the path of magician. Are you sure? Sure, Moyu squinted. If it doesn't happen naturally, then it needs to be controlled by humans. Isn't the future guided by humans also part of destiny? Human guidance. Hearing this, Ancient One's eyelids jumped. Aren't you afraid that he will fight for your life after knowing the truth about him? I don't need to worry. Moyu shook his head without any psychological barriers. If he wants to fight hard, he has to grow up to where I am now. Ancient One was silent. Can she not understand what this means? Strange is growing up, so you won't grow up. When he reaches your level, where can you reach? Forget it, I'll wait for a few more years and see. The Ancient One magician shook his head and rejected the suggestion. She didn't want to cultivate a black Strange, which would be a disaster for the universe. Obviously it's quite interesting. Seeing that the Ancient One magician disagreed, Moyu just shrugged, raised his left hand slightly, and the time stone emitting green light slowly floated towards the Ancient One magician. I have used up the original time stone. It should be returned to its original owner. The Ancient One magician raised his hand to form a seal, and pulled the time stone in front of him back into the eye of Agamotto. Then he twisted his hands, and 10 time arrays were instantly formed. Next, I will take you to a relatively special point in time to let you get in touch with the soul gem. It's up to you what you can gain. A special time. Moyu touched his chin. I guess it's a universe that is about to be destroyed, right? Ancient One didn't answer either, just silently operating the magic circle in his hand. In an instant, the two figures disappeared into the secret room. Time flies before our eyes. After a while, the scenery in front of me has changed. The two are already on a Death Star. Not far ahead is a door leading to a certain pastoral space. Soul Gem has actually been realized. Looking at this scene, Moyu was quite surprised. Whose handiwork is this? Dead people, Ancient One said softly. This is a place of redemption and a place of death. If you don't want to cause a counterattack of resentment from the universe, just try it outside. After hearing this, Moyu did not act immediately. He just turned around and looked at the scenery around him, frowning slightly. #, the entire universe is a dead place. Yeah, Ancient One nodded slightly. As a result of a sudden fatal mistake, the creatures in the universe were swallowed up by this poetic pastoral, without a chance to react. The soul gem in front of me devours the life of the entire universe. Moyu squinted his eyes and looked at the door in front of him. Should it be said that he is the most dangerous existence among the infinite stones? He looked down at the purple gem that had lost its light in the palm of his right hand. Moyu already had a decision in mind. This is not a parallel universe to the universe he is in, or even within the framework of the multi-universe he is in. This is a completely strange other universe. Otherwise, the power stone in his hand will not lose its effect. Thinking of this, you subconsciously glanced at Jiyu-san beside him. It's you who deserves to be said. Not only can you travel around the multi-universe where you are, it can even break boundaries and run into other Chianuo's multi-universe. Awesome, Ancient One magician. He was taught another lesson quietly. Although his own combat power is not top-notch, his various abilities cannot be underestimated at all. The barriers of the multi-universe are like those of your own home. You can go out as you wish and enter as you wish. But think about it. If the Ancient One cannot do this, it will not be able to break away from the limitations of its own universe and pursue eternity. It was a total accident. Perhaps guessing Moyu's thoughts, the Ancient One magician just smiled and shook his head. I believed your ghost. Moyu shook his head, said nothing, and focused all his attention on the door where the soul gem appeared. You can't go in, after all, it contains the resentment of the entire universe. That thing is terrifyingly tight. With his current ability, if he accidentally caused a counterattack, he would have no choice but to retreat strategically. Main universe, Kamar-Taj. How does it feel? The Ancient One, who had returned from the destroyed universe, looked at Moyu in front of him with a smile on his face. The consumption is a bit heavy, but it's still normal. Just rest for a while and you'll be fine. Moyu rubbed his forehead and felt as if there were needles pricking between his eyebrows. That is one of the manifestations of excessive consumption of soul power and spiritual power. Although the embodied soul gem lacks the step of exchanging soul for soul to make it appear. However, due to the inability to go inside for in-depth deconstruction, Moyu could only perform forced analysis from the outside. The rules of the infinite original stone cannot work with the infinite original stone, so even if he has completed the analysis of the power stone and the time stone, without completing the algorithm iteration, he can only use his own power to lead the analysis process of soul gem. Overloaded for nearly a month. This consumption of his personal energy is undoubtedly extremely terrifying. However, the benefits of doing so are also obvious. In this process, Moyu's mental and soul power were double-tempered. Once energy is fully restored, both will grow to a certain extent. Besides, the unreserved full power output also allowed him to obtain the complete data of the first infinite rough stone. The total time spent in Kamar-Taj does not exceed 4 days. The harvest was extremely huge. This is definitely due to all the foreshadowing done before. If the foundation had not been worked, his gains in the past few days would not have been so great. All the data of the 3 infinite rough stones have been analyzed. What he has to do now is to completely transform this data into the foundation of his super gene, and change the power of the 3 rough stones into his own genetic engine algorithm to coordinate with his various abilities. The amount of work is undoubtedly huge amounts of. However, once this project is completed, the benefits will also be huge amounts of. Once successful, it will be equivalent to adding 3 infinite rules to his genetic engine that are equivalent to infinite rough stones, and they will also be the plus 1.0 universal version. Get some rest. Ancient One put his hands behind his back and turned around to leave the secret room with a smile on his face. Oh, by the way, I'd like you to be a little more careful about the successor of Sorcerer Supreme AEBH. I'm looking forward to it. Moyu watched the Ancient One leave with a speechless expression. This guy definitely did it on purpose. But forget it. We'll see then. If the world line shifts to the point where even Strange can't be regarded as the Sorcerer Supreme, then just find a chance to let the king take over. Wong will handle the small things by himself, and just go to Wanda and him for the big and uncertain things. The thought fell. Moyu's figure also disappeared into the secret room. Sir. You are back. Almost as soon as Moyu landed, Wanda, who had been paying attention, looked over with joy, quickly got up from the sofa and ran over. Well, I'm back. Moyu smiled and said, didn't anything happen at home these days when I was away? No, everything is fine. Wanda nodded with a smile on her face. It's just that my husband is not at home, so it's a little deserted. Where's Pietro? Moyu looked at the empty gravity room with some doubts. When Moyu mentioned Pietro, a guy who ran away in the face of battle and had no sense of being a brother at all, Wanda was so angry that she was itching her teeth and said with a smile. Sir, you became wild after you left. You ran away and didn't come back for 4 days. I don't know where you died. It's good to go out and relax occasionally. Moyu expressed understanding and nodded slightly. Pietro was still young, at the most energetic stage of his life. It's normal to not be able to stay at home. Anyway, with Pietro's ability, he basically won't make any mistakes. If something is life-threatening, Wanda will sense it regardless of whether he or she is there, and can arrive at the scene as soon as possible. Sir, you look very tired. Do you want to rest first? I'll just lie down for a while and I'll be fine. Well, sir, do you need to make a cup of ginseng? Okay, please, Wanda. Please wait a moment. With a smile on her face, Wanda walked into the kitchen with light steps and bounded. Watching Wanda run into the kitchen, Moyu simply chose to sit on the recliner. Start sorting out the harvest of these 4 days. Retrieve status. Searching. Retrieval completed. Name. Moyu. Biological age. 21. Biological gender. Male. Current gene version. Fighting Buddha and Kamigawa beast body in the process of integration upgrade new. Ancient dragon gene sequence, new. Otsutsuki gene sequence, new. Infinite sequence power, time, soul. Kamigawa beast body in the process of integration, immune to thermal weapons, nuclear weapons, and antimatter strikes, immune to multi-dimensional rewriting of the following concepts, ignores large solar flare bombings, resists nova explosions, and is invulnerable to god-killing weapons that are not specialized in decomposing super genes. Estimated promotion level. Multi-universe completely immune to the following damage including but not limited to physical attacks, energy attacks, mental attacks, soul attacks, concept rewriting, etc. 1. Ancient Dragon Gene Sequence. Analysis completed, integrating. Otsutsuki Gene Sequence. Analysis completed, integration in progress. Infinite Sequence completed power, time, soul. Current progress in algorithm structure and fit reorganization, 50%. Infinite Sequence unfinished space 98%, mind 55%, reality 55%. Equipped with the Dark Plane Combat Engine. Duplication, immobilization, energy burst, fiery eyes, 3 heads and 6 arms, law of heaven and earth, star movement, etc. New Dark Plane Combat Engines. Element Engine plus 1.0 version, Space-Time Engine plus 1.0 version, High-Level Concept Rewriter plus 1.0 version. Current equipment. Dark Alloy Rod, dark alloy armor, somersault cloud, infinite rough stone power. Timing item. Progress bar, current progress is 95%. Tisk. Moyu smacked his lips. Unknowingly, I turned a year older. The growth rate of the progress bar is consistent with what I thought. If I had known better, I would have stayed a few more days before coming back. Still, not bad, after sorting out your own status. Part of Moyu's mind sank into the group. Not counting the time it took to break the universe and analyze the soul gem, he stayed in Kamar-Taj for 4 days. I've been in contact for a few days but haven't paid attention to the changes in the group, and I don't know if there's anything interesting going on. My mind just sank in. The logo of a private red envelope appeared extremely eye-catching. Who sent him the personal red envelope? Oh, it's Tony. Receive a private red envelope and a hard drive falls into your hands. After scanning the dark data, Moyu knew what was inside. It is the serum research data belonging to Carol, the Skrulls, and Hulk. It's very fast. It was completed in less than 3 months. To Sakura. Yeah, I saw Brother Moyu online. Style butterfly Kanae. Did the model students encounter any difficulties? I haven't talked in the group for 4 days, and everyone is very worried. Iron Man Tony. Oh, don't worry, you guys are finally willing to give up. The group has started to bubble up. You have disappeared without saying a word for 4 days. For 4 days, you can't be found in the group, and you can't get through on the phone. Where are you hiding? Gone. If your group name hadn't been on, I would have thought you had sent it. Warrior Kamigawa Moyu. There was no trouble when the time came. I just went to another universe and studied in seclusion for a while. Forget it, don't talk about me anymore. During my absence. There shouldn't be any trouble, right? Has Rimuru successfully awakened? Iron Man Tony. Hey, if I really have you, I'll run to other universes at every turn. Demon King Rimuru. Thank you for your concern. The process of awakening the Demon King went very smoothly. Now I am the awakening Demon King. In addition, because I successfully awakened, Benimaru and the others also received blessings. The overall strength of Tempest, it can be said that it has skyrocketed a lot. Oh, by the way, one more thing, just as you expected, after I became the Demon King of Awakening, my group name also became the Demon King. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. It's good if you succeed. Now you are on the table in advance. There may be more people targeting you, so be careful. Rimuru Awakening failed. He had never thought about this possibility. After all, this guy is really special. Demon King Rimuru. Alas, when you are weak, you have a lot of troubles, but when you become strong, you have even more troubles. Why can't everyone live in peace? I don't understand it at all. Forget it, thank you Moyu. Reminder, I will be more careful. Style and Butterfly Kanae. Rimuru is still as gentle as ever. Before, I thought her personality would change drastically after Awakening became the Demon King. Demon King Rimuru. Forget it, your reaction was exactly the same as Benimaru's. If Raphael hadn't been so clever, I would have been tricked by Benimaru. Quote. Shion is good at everything. But he only has a fatal ability in cooking. Well, deadly in every sense of the word. After eating too much of Shion's food, Benimaru even gained poison resistance that even Rimuru couldn't resist. One can imagine how dangerous Shion's cooking is. Pioneer Star. There's nothing wrong with becoming a Demon King. At least you have the power to protect the people you care about. I think it's a little cooler. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. I agree with this. Although I felt a little ashamed at first. But it will be fine once you get used to it. Traveler Ying. I think compared to the Immortal King and Suzuki Satoru, Mr. Skeleton is more fluent. The Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. It's good that Ying Senpai is happy, helpless.jpg. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. By the way, Sakura, how is the situation over there? To Sakura. Brother Moyu's plan was a perfect success. On the 3rd day after I came back, a beautiful sister with blonde hair came to the house. My father agreed to send me to Edfeld as an adopted daughter that day. Family. Although I still feel a little bit reluctant to let go of Sister Rin, Sister Levia is also very kind to me. Traveler Ying. Sakura, remember to grow up well. If you encounter trouble that cannot be solved, remember to come to everyone at any time. We are Shallow's strongest backing. Style Butterfly Kanae. Remember to live happily every day. Tasaka Sakura. Yeah, Sakura will grow up obediently, and she will definitely be able to help brother Moyu. Pioneer Star. I feel like the latter is the focus of Sakura, funny.jpg. Tasaka Sakura. Definitely, this is my dream. Iron Man Tony. Tisk. I understand, but forget it, let's not talk about it for now. Moyu, can you still use the things I sent you? Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. What are the research data of the 3 serums? Well, it's really a bit useless. It's a pity that it's tasteless and tasteless. But would that mean, Iron Man Tony? Well, it looks like you won't be able to use it. Although Moyu didn't say it clearly, Tony came to the conclusion easily. He probably won't be able to use what he sent me. Traveler Ying. Oh, Mr. Tony seems to be completely out of date. Pioneer Star. You are thinking too much, Ying. Although we are not enough, compared with us, we are the novices who are lagging behind, okay. Style Butterfly Kanae. The scope of these words is a bit wide, Hoshi. Tasaka Sakura. Sister Hoshi probably didn't do it on purpose. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. I can see it, but this is indeed a sad fact. Demon King Rimuru. That's right, I don't understand anything either. Traveler Ying. You guys, please stop joining in the fun, okay? It's so embarrassing, your great sage has evolved into the King of Wisdom, are you still embarrassed to treat yourself as a novice? Trailblazer Star. I feel like he's just here to show off, beat him. Iron Man Tony. Sigh. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. Ahem, Tony, it's actually not completely useless. These 3 serums can be used as samples to properly blend the bloodline of the Otsutsuki clan. 1. Iron Man Tony. You'd better stop talking. The more you talk, the more distressing it will be. Just a week of study time. Why does this guy completely surpass me in life science and technology? Obviously not long ago I was a complete novice. Now it's getting to the point where Tony can't even understand it. Could it be that I really fell behind? Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. By the way, where is Nagato? I didn't see him talking in the group. The Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Nagato is still cleaning up the mess in the ninja world. Iron Man Tony. In the past, we completed the task and left, but Nagato still had to face a lot of troubles, and now he seems to have his feet on the ground every day. Style Butterfly Kanae. But thinking about it, as long as a member of the Otsutsuki clan doesn't come again, with Nagato's ability there shouldn't be any accidents. Demon King Rimuru. That's true, after all, Nagato's Rinnegan has also evolved once, but you still have to be careful about Black Zetsu. Akatsuki Nagato. Thank you for your concern. Black Zetsu's ultimate method is nothing more than the reincarnation of Dirty Earth. Even if he gathers all the decedents in the ninja world and uses the 777 reincarnation technique of Dirty Earth, he will still not be who I am today. The enemy of 1. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. It seems that this mission has made Nagato make great progress, but thinking about it, without the key element of the Rinnegan, Black Zetsu is not a concern. Pioneer Star. I feel that this guy Black Zetsu is doing useless work. The previous mission requirement was to release Kagaya and then suppress it. With Moyu's method, I don't believe that the seal he uses to suppress Kagaya will be the same as the old man of 6 paths. Traveler Ying. Indeed, but this guy is also quite miserable. From a certain perspective, Black Zetsu's filial piety is really strong. He has been working hard to release the suppressed Kagaya for thousands of years. Unfortunately, he was let's get in the way. Style Butterfly Kanae. Well, there's something I don't know whether I should say. Actually, there's no need to worry about Kagaya running out. Tasaka Sakura. I know what Sister Kanae wants to say. In fact, Brother Moyu didn't suppress Kagaya in the moon at all, but directly sealed her and took her away. 1. Traveler Ying. Pioneer Star. Demon Lord Rimuru. Iron Man Tony. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Hey. I probably understand. Akatsuki Nagato. Can you still bring someone back with you? Demon King Rimuru. Wow, I understand too, but we didn't expect this at all. Since Moyu can take Kagaya away from the ninja world. Speaking of which, if the mission is over and he returns when I swallow everyone into my stomach, will everyone follow me into my world? Iron Man Tony. Swallow it into your stomach. So we won't be digested by you. Demon King Rimuru. Don't worry, my stomach bag has been divided into several spaces by me. As long as I don't activate gluttony. No, I'm the king of gluttony now. As long as I don't activate my skills to actively devour it, I'll be fine. It'll be totally fine. Traveler Ying. Although your idea is very good, I feel it is not very feasible. Pioneer Star. Indeed, there is a fundamental difference between our situation and Kagaya's. First, Kagaya is not a member of the group. Second, Kagaya is the target of the mission. The most important point is that the return of the mission is to directly send our original world back to our original world. If your stomach cannot be judged to interfere with the group, then it should be a useless effort. Demon King Rimuru. That's right. I'm too whimsical. It's a pity. Watch the discussion among the group members. Moyu touched his chin and thought for a moment before speaking. Kamigawa warrior Moyu. Has anyone ever thought about stuffing themselves into red envelopes and sending them out? It is now known that whether they are dead or living objects, or even data, they can be sent through red envelopes. So, what if it's a human? Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Hiss. Although Senior Moyu's starting point is a bit tricky, the possibility is not impossible. However, how should we try this? Traveler Ying. You can't try it, right? Even if you can send it out through red envelopes, but how can you come back? If you send it out and can't come back, wouldn't it be terrible? Pioneer Star. It's dark under the lights. Ying, you forgot that Tony and Moyu are in the same world, why don't you let Tony try? Demon King Rimuru. Yes, I almost forgot that they are in the same world. Tony, try it quickly. Iron Man Tony. Why me? Style hyphenation point butterfly Kanae. Come on Mr. Tony, I'm optimistic about you. Tasaka Sakura. Me too, Sakura is optimistic about you too. Iron Man Tony. Looking at the booing members, Tony's eyes twitched slightly. Even if the speculation is true. But stuff yourself into red envelopes and give them out. It's always a super weird feeling. Isn't this tantamount to giving yourself away as a gift? Kamigawa warrior Moyu. There is no need to go to such trouble. There is no need to send it out at all. Just try to see if you can stuff yourself into a red envelope and the conclusion will be obvious. Demon King Rimuru. Well, I tried it, and the conclusion is correct. Now I have stuffed myself into the red envelope, and I can still speak in the group normally. It's just that the time and space here seem to be stagnant. Currently, only my thoughts can move normally, and everything else seems to be frozen. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Are you okay? Rimuru-senpai, can you still get out of the red envelope? Demon King Rimuru. Don't worry, I'm out now. Tasaka Sakura. Brother Moyu, can Sakura give you a gift? Traveler Ying. Could this gift be yourself? Pioneer Star. You are the same, don't worry, you are really guilty. Style Butterfly Kanae. Sakura, this is not good. Tasaka Sakura. Why isn't it good? Even Sister Kanae can give it away. Style Butterfly Kanae. Anyway, don't do anything weird, shallow. Don't talk about this kind of thing. Although she really wanted to, she just thought about it. After all, Shinobu and Kana are still in this world, and she will not leave them alone. Demon King Rimuru. Eat melon, eat melon. Traveler Ying. Happy. Pioneer Star. Today is another happy day. Iron Man Tony. Same as above. The Immortal King, Suzuki Satoru. Although I don't know what happened, we are all sharing the same thing. Kamigawa warrior Moyu. Enough is enough for you. The fun people in the group can't wait to show up and eat the melon once they discover the fun. At first glance, it does appear to be a very cheerful demeanor. But unfortunately, he was quickly suppressed by Moyu. If you want to eat his melon, you won't even get a bite. Kamigawa warrior Moyu. Let's talk about business first. I have already finished the Otsutsuki gene sequence weapon. I promised Sakura and Kanae a share before. In addition, let's tell everyone who wants it together. And then send a drop of your own blood. There are certain differences in everyone's genes, so I need to match the genetic sequence before I can make adjustments before giving it to you, so that I won't be able to use it properly when I send it to you. Iron Man Tony. Hey, you are really stupid. You got it done so quickly. How long did it take? Traveler Ying. Although I have been mentally prepared for a long time, I still can't help but want to ask, are you a pervert? Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. It may only be 4 days for you, but for me, it was more than a month of solid running. Iron Man Tony. Accelerate your own time. This is even more perverted, right? Demon King Rimuru. If possible, I would like to shamelessly ask for one. Pioneer Star. Rimuru, you have become the awakening Demon King, why are you still here? Demon King Rimuru. Please, the purity of the reincarnation I got is less than 100%. Maybe getting Otsutsuki's genetic sequence will slowly complete it, and maybe Raphael will give me another surprise. Woolen Cloth. The immortal King Suzuki Satoru. The great sage is already perverted enough, and now the King of Wisdom. I can't imagine that you are like a dog sitter hired by a game company, with all kinds of enviable things, jealousy and hate. Demon Lord Rimuru. It's not that exaggerated. A dog carrier or something is too much. Akatsuki Nagato. I have the audacity to ask for one. Although I also possess part of the Otsutsuki bloodline, I only have the physique of the Uzumaki clan, which is too defective. Pioneer Star. Although I am also a little moved, but I would like to ask, will this thing tamper with our own genes? Although he expressed a slight desire to turn himself into an Otsutsuki man or something. The star indicates a bit of hesitation. Traveler Ying. It is indeed a problem, but I think it's not serious. Iron Man Tony. Generally speaking, there will be some changes, but this is Moyu's handiwork, so I'm not sure. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. Don't worry about this. Gene sequence arming is different from gene rewriting. Although both of them work on genes, the function of sequence arming is as its name implies, which is to arm your gene sequence, which is equivalent to injecting extraordinary power into yourself, and the underlying sequence of your genes will not change. Moreover, this genetic sequence weapon is locked and will not be passed on to the next generation. It can only be used by the person. The human body is a huge treasure house. Its complexity can encompass or even exceed the known universe. Using biotechnology to rewrite genetic sequences is actually the stupidest and crudest method. Human genes may seem fragile, but their essence is extremely powerful. It just depends on whether you have the ability to tap into its potential power and whether you can arm it. Pioneer Star. So what are you waiting for? Get one quickly. Traveler Yang. I want it too, I want it too. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Well, how should I put it, it seems like I have no part in it, it's such a pity. His body is now a skeleton with no flesh and blood. It looks like it can't be used. What a pity. He is losing touch with the group members again. Suzuki Satoru felt anxious in his heart. But under the passive green light, there was only a little bit of regret left in my heart. Iron Man Tony. Wait a minute, don't worry, I have another question. To create so many genetic sequence weapons, are the resources on the Earth enough for you? Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. Don't worry, it basically costs nothing to me and doesn't require any extra resources. Iron Man Tony. Can you still create things from the void? Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. That's a bit difficult, but if you want to do it, you can barely do it. I can't explain it for a while. Iron Man Tony. Okay, I'm convinced, give me one. Ding, all members **** have sent you a private red envelope. The 5 red envelope signs flashed almost simultaneously. Moyu accepted them one by one, divided them up, and spoke again. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. Suzuki, if you want some bones, well, powder will do, even if the flesh and blood is gone, it will still work. The immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Happiness comes too suddenly, please wait. Suzuki was overwhelmed by this sudden joy. Without waiting for the passive to take effect, he directly took out a wooden stick from his personal space and crushed it. A long knife flashing with lightning suddenly appeared in his hand. Then he lifted the long knife without any hesitation and cut off one of his finger bones. He came down, then decisively stuffed the red envelope and sent it out. The next moment, the passive effect took effect, but Suzuki's excitement was not reduced much. The minor injury on his hand healed quickly, and the finger bones also grew back. It's not that he covets this power, it's just that he doesn't want to be one of the few alternatives in the group. Finally made a group of new friends, although they are in different worlds. But he still cherishes this rare friendship very much. After these days of hard work, he finally got along with the group members. The kind of thing that creates a whole bunch of common topics. If possible, how could he not be involved? At the moment when he calmed down, Suzuki silently put away the Goken Thunder 8 styles in his hand, raised his head and looked around the ceiling. Bits of black aura appeared on the body surface, and he said in a faint tone, "You didn't see anything, right?" Click, click, click. A series of slightly stiff nods sounded quickly. This matter is neither big nor small. But it must not reach Asgardian ears. Otherwise, I'm afraid these people will have to figure out a lot of things again, and they won't be able to explain it at all, which will be super troublesome. You can't tell anyone who asks, not even to death, especially Albedo and Demiurge, you know. Click, click, click. Ha, Suzuki breathed a sigh of relief and turned his attention to the group again. Hey, don't miss anyone. Looking at the progress of various projects that were being adapted to Otsutsuki's genetic sequence weapons, Moyu had a smile on his face. You may make a lot of money, but I will never lose. Special people must be special. Regardless of whether it is dominant or recessive, all information is stored in genes. An Otsutsuki's genetic sequence weapon can be exchanged for so much data, so Moyu can't lose anything. Well, mutual benefit is the way to go. Everyone gains something, and no one loses anything. Harmony makes money, right? You can consider getting one for Pietro and Wanda. There were 2 more matching items. However, before that, let's send the 2 copies that have been configured and belong to Kanae and Sakura. This is a very useful advertisement. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. Sakura, Kanae, your part has been completed, remember to accept the red envelope. Ding. Private red envelope has been received. Tasaka Sakura. I got it, brother Moyu. Style butterfly Kanae. Me too, but how should I use this? Picture.jpg. Looking at a Rubik's Cube in his hand with a water element symbol embedded inside. Kanae fell into deep thought for a moment. According to common sense, shouldn't it be a pill or a bottle of medicine? What kind of special situation is this? Rubik's Cube. Tasaka Sakura. This Rubik's Cube is so beautiful, picture.jpg. The one in Sakura's hand is also a Rubik's Cube. It's just that the internal pattern has become an imaginary number attribute, and the color is different from Kanae's. Pioneer Star. It's the water element sign and the imaginary number sign. Don't worry, what is going on? Traveler Ying. Curious.jpg. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. The internal marks represent the attributes that are most suitable for the 2 people's genes. This is an additional genetic expansion pack that I gave away. It can not only activate their original power to the maximum, but also allow them to drive when this attribute is used. The increase will be more than 10 times. Demon King Rimuru. A 10-fold increase, not bad. Akatsuki Nagato. In other words, this bonus expansion pack can allow them to double their upper limit of power. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Well, it looks more like equipment. A 10-fold increase is not bad. Trailblazer Star. Not bad. Not bad. Are you two showing off? Traveler Ying. Don't compare yourself to perverts, Hoshi. Whether it's Rimuru or Suzuki Satoru, there are so many skills and props that can increase one's own status and strength. 10 times is probably just that in their eyes. I can't envy you. Iron Man Tony. I'm a little curious about how to use this thing. Wear it with you. It shouldn't be that simple, right? Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. The method of use is very simple. Kanae, Sakura, hold the Rubik's Cube with both hands and recite your name silently. The Rubik's Cube will automatically expand and integrate into your genetic sequence, and it also contains some related information. Please remember to read the tutorial on using the elementary level of attribute power carefully. Style hyphenation point butterfly Kanae. Okay, I'll try the factory. Holding the Rubik's Cube in her hands tightly with both hands, Kanae closed her eyes and silently recited her name in her mind. The next moment, the Rubik's Cube in her hand lit up with a faint light, and the authentication process swept through Kanae's body. Certification is completed and the automation process is started. A fine stream of water spread from the magic cube, wrapping Kanae's whole body in it. Bits and pieces of water drops slowly blended into Kanae's body, attaching to the underlying genes. When the water element in the Rubik's Cube completely dissipated, the small sequence of genetic weapons had been integrated into it. The next moment, the Rubik's Cube in Kanae's hand automatically disintegrated. The fragments turned into drops of light and poured into the Nichiren sword on Kanae's waist. Opening his eyes subconsciously, Shang Naxin was slightly startled. At this moment, she was still wrapped in the water, but strangely, she did not feel any sense of suffocation. It's like she can breathe in water. He subconsciously raised his hand, and the water surrounding him gathered in his hand, eventually turning into the basic water element and integrating into himself. This almost instinctive operation made Kanae stunned for a long time. Before Kanae could react, she was attracted by the picture that suddenly appeared in her mind. After a long silence, Kanae closed and opened her eyes. The flashing blue reincarnation eye suddenly opened. There were some subtle ripples in the space, and Kanae's body broke away from Fu and floated slowly. Fraud. The corners of the suspended Kanae's mouth raised a slight arc, and she muttered something. Where is the bonus expansion pack? Compared to the things that came to mind. Otsutsuki's genetic sequence weapon is a bonus, right? However, I accepted this gift. Rubbing her cheeks that were slightly crimson, Kanae couldn't hide the smile on her face. Well, if Moyu is here, this wrong idea must be corrected. Genetic armament is the foundation, but now it is less obvious that it is recessive. His effect is subtle and he can constantly break through the upper limit. Although the bonus knowledge can be used immediately, the upper limit is only that. All I can say is, well, the direction is wrong, a wonderful mistake. To Sakura. Brother Moyu, it's so magical. Sakura seems to be able to travel through space like Brother Moyu now. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. Well, yes, the imaginary number attribute has a unique advantage in the space field, but Sakura's ability to master space travel so quickly is also a special ability. To Sakura. Yeah, Sakura will continue to work hard. I was praised. Happy. Sakura also has to prepare a return gift. But what kind of gift should I prepare? Sakura-chan, my sister is here to play with you again. Quote. Sister Luvia. Sakura turned around slightly and said with some distress, Sister Luvia, please help me think of a way. Sakura wants to send a return gift, but she doesn't know what to give. Does Sister Luvia have anything? Suggestion. A. Luvia was stunned, and looked at Sakura up and down with her hands on her hips, her eyes flashing with surprise. You can give me some advice. At least tell me first who the gift is for. Is it a man or a woman? An ordinary person or a magician? What's the relationship like with you? If you don't tell me this, I won't be able to give you any advice. Sakura crossed her fingers and said shyly, yes, it's my brother, he's very powerful. Luvia spoke in a longer tone, it's my brother. It seems that Sakura likes him very much, but is he a powerful magician? In that case, wouldn't it be nice if Sakura gave me a holy grail? Holy grail? I'm just kidding. Since it's a return gift, Sakura just needs to make a gift herself, such as chocolate or something, so that it can reflect Sakura's feelings. Oh, I understand, Sister Luvia. Thank you Sister Luvia for your advice, Sakura knows what to do. Sakura clenched her fists, looking full of fighting spirit and determined to win. Can you please help Sister Luvia prepare a holy relic for me? A holy relic. Luvia was stunned, suddenly grabbed Sakura's shoulders and shook her hard. Sober up, Sakura, I told you it was a joke. But Sakura pursed her lips. Chocolate and the like are too ordinary. Compared with the gifts given to her by Brother Moyu. How can you give away a piece of chocolate? No, absolutely not. On the contrary, if you participate in the Holy Grail War and win, not only can he return the gift to Brother Moyu, but he can also save his father, mother and sister. No matter how you calculate it, it is a super cost-effective thing. Well, it's decided. Not ordinary at all. Luvia tried her best to explain. That is a chocolate that contains all of Sakura's thoughts. It is a chocolate that is hard to buy with a lot of money. Isn't it just a daughter, so little? Xiaolo subconsciously complained. Luvia's eyes twitched and she took a deep breath. Anyway, listen to me first, Sakura. Although it is just a ruined ceremony in a remote countryside, the Holy Grail War was originally very cruel. You are only 6 years old. At 6 years old, I would never agree to let you participate in the Holy Grail War. If your brother knew about it, he definitely wouldn't want you to put yourself in danger. If something happens to you, everyone will be sad. Seeing Livia in front of her with a face full of serious persuasion, Sakura felt warm in her heart and nodded immediately. This is right. Livia breathed a sigh of relief. Sister, I will take you to buy materials and teach you how to make love chocolates. Hey, Sister Livia, have you made love chocolates too? Sakura looked at Livia in front of her with great curiosity. Well, looking at Sakura's expectant eyes, Livia raised her head and said confidently. HMPH, it's definitely a piece of cake. Don't worry, leave it to me. Aha, Sakura nodded quickly. Then I'll wait here for the good news from Sister Livia. Don't worry, leave it to me, Sakura, just wait for the good news. Livia patted her small chest and strode out of the room. Watch Livia leave. Sakura thought for 2 seconds, looked around, then gently raised her hand and swiped, and the rift in the imaginary space suddenly opened. If I remember correctly, with a strong desire, Sakura gently reached in and dug around, then pulled out a book. Holy Grail War Brief. Although Sakura can only understand the 2 words, Holy Grail, in English. Okay. The excited Sakura opened the book immediately, and then she was stunned. It's all in English and she doesn't understand it. What should she do? Although she only needs to summon the magic circle of heroic spirits. But after flipping through it for the first time, there were several in the book. Which one did she need? Looking for everyone in the group. No, once you ask, the matter will be revealed, so there will be no surprises. Sister Livia, she will definitely be stopped, right? As if she suddenly thought of something, Sakura's eyes lit up and she whispered. Is Mr. Computer here? Sakura needs your help if I need something. Please give me your instructions. Alright, heaving a sigh of relief, Sakura pointed to the book in front of her. I want to know about the summoning of heroic spirits in the book. Please help me, Mr. Computer. Instructions received, translation is in progress. Holy Grail War Brief. The content retrieval is completed. Please turn to page 163. The specific operation content will be presented in the form of tutorial projection. Please be patient to complete the viewing. Arigato. The happiness that the goal is about to be achieved, plus the little excitement of secretly doing bad things. Sakura's current mood can be described as extremely exciting. With the help of the dark matter computer, Sakura quickly completed the learning of the summoning ritual. And under the full guidance of the computer, the summoning AEBD summoning circle was drawn. A summoning circle built with imaginary energy. Just when Sakura was planning to directly ignore the holy relic and summon it, the prompt from the dark matter computer sounded again. You don't have a command spell yet, so the summoning process is uncontrollable, so please be careful. Quote. Command seal. Qualifications to participate in the Holy Grail War. How can I get the command seal? Method retrieval in progress. Retrieval completed. The following is the method of obtaining the command spell, which... Hey, Mr. Computer, I think I have a command spell. Before she could finish her words, Sakura excitedly raised her right hand, and the scarlet lines on it were shimmering. ... This is the command seal. Now you are qualified to participate in the Holy Grail War. Then let's start summoning. After wiping her fists, Sakura slowly opened her palms. Well, the spell is, forget it, no matter who it is, as long as they are willing to respond to me and help me, please answer my call and show up in this world. The dark matter computer suddenly crashed. Is this the spell it taught Sakura? Oh, it's lit up, a heroic spirit has responded to me. Sakura looked at the magic circle in front of her expectantly, looking forward to the imminent appearance of Amon. Looking at the illuminated magic circle, the dark matter computer shut down again. This works too. Are the so-called spells and holy relics all? Draw a summoning circle, inject a little magic power, and here you go. Sakura, I'm coming back, let's go to the kitchen to make chocolate, shall we? Before the servant could appear, the door was suddenly pushed open. The smile on Livia's face suddenly solidified as soon as she saw the scene happening in the room. Sakura, you. Got you. At this moment, Sakura's face was full of shock and she didn't know how to explain it. A slender figure emerged from the summoning array, and a soft voice sounded slowly. Servant Berserker Enkidu, activated at your call. Please use me as you wish without mercy, master. The two pairs of little eyes looked at each other. Heroic spirit, Enkidu. Levia let out a sharp explosion and looked at Enkidu, who was standing on the magic circle with wide eyes. Enkidu, the divine weapon. The king of heroes' best friend. Sakura seemed to have summoned some extraordinary existence. No, that's not the point. Little Sakura. Levia took a deep breath. You deceived me, sister. Didn't you agree not to risk the Holy Grail to participate in the war? Sorry, Sister Levia, I didn't say I wouldn't participate. A hint of cunning flashed in Sakura's eyes. I really still want to win the Holy Grail war with my own hands, and then give the Holy Grail to Brother Moyu. Chapter 101. Sakura-chan. Levia pinched Sakura's cheek with both hands and gently pulled it, with an extremely complicated expression on her face as she said. Have you ever understood the seriousness of the matter? Woo. Sakura let out a whimper and said with an unconvinced face, Sister Levia, I know, there is no need to worry at all. If I want to escape, the servants will not be able to keep me at all, and they will not be able to hurt Sakura. Oh, if you don't believe it, just take a look. The words fell. Sakura's body instantly disappeared, and Wei's fingers holding her cheek suddenly became empty. Here, look, Sister Levia. This is. Subconsciously, she stretched out her hand and grabbed it in front of her eyes. A shocked expression appeared on Sakura's face. Space magic. Space magic is nothing new, there are only a lot known about it. But what shocked Levia was that Sakura could achieve and use such high-level space magic at a mere 6 years old. What a terrifying ability is this? If the clock tower finds out, can the Edfeld family really protect Sakura? Sakura smiled and nodded. The Holy Grail War is only about 7 days, and I can definitely maintain this state for about 2 weeks. From the beginning to the end, no one can catch Sakura. Sakura-chan. Levia shook her head and said solemnly. This is not enough. The world of magicians is very complicated. Just space magic is not enough to convince me. After all, there are still all kinds of spells and magic that are difficult to guard against, and some heroic spirits' noble phantasms are enough to tear apart space, and even launch inevitable causal attacks, targeting souls, consciousness, and so on. Quote. Especially Caster and Assassin among the 7 riders, their methods are hard to guard against. Very dangerous. Sakura exited from the virtual state, looking a little depressed. Although it is clear that Levia is worried about herself, so she feels a little concerned and confused. But being looked down upon all the time made Shallow feel helpless. Thought for a moment. With a roll of her eyes, Sakura placed her right hand with the command spell in front of Levia. Sister Levia, Sakura has obtained the command spell and summoned the heroic spirit. It's too late to withdraw now. Besides, you must know my servant, Sister Levia, right? Although I don't know much about the division between servants, Sakura feels that she is very powerful. Not just powerful, it's completely supersized, okay. That is the divine weapon Enkidu, the Hero King's best friend. Among the many heroic spirits, it is also the group that stands at the top of the pyramids, okay. Maybe, that broken ritual in the Far East will be broken through by Enkidu overnight. In this way, Sakura can completely reap the benefits. No, it's still too dangerous. Besides, it's not like there's no way to exit now. But, forcing Sakura-chan to give up participating in the Holy Grail War or something. Facing Sakura's serious and somewhat dazed expression, Levia was speechless for a moment. After a moment of silence. Hey, Levia raised her head again. Sakura-chan, are you really ready to wake up? Sakura just smiled and nodded. Cut. Levia curled her lips, and there was a hint of sourness in her tone. I really don't know which guy is so hateful and stole Sakura-chan's heart so early. Sakura tilted her head. Sister Levia, are you jealous? Not at all. Levia retorted instantly, and then said, forget it, looking at you like this, you probably won't listen no matter what I advise you. Although I hate neon, for the sake of my Sakura-chan, let me accompany you this time. Please take a walk. Sakura raised her hand weakly. Sister Luvia cannot participate in the Holy Grail War. I said I could. Luvia put her hands on her hips and puffed out her chest. Sakura, just wait, I'll go find my father for help right now. As agreed, before I obtain the command spell, you can't run back to Fuyuki in advance, do you understand? Sakura was stunned. Sister Luvia. Luvia snorted rather arrogantly, turned around and walked out of the room. Who makes me your sister? As a sister, you naturally need me as a sister to protect you. Just wait for my good news. Quote. Sakura didn't react at all, and before she could stop him, Luvia ran away without a trace, leaving Sakura in silence. Sister Luvia is also going to participate in the Holy Grail War. To protect me. Sakura only felt her heart warm, but then she shook her head, temporarily suppressing the unnecessary thoughts, and turned to look at En, who had not said anything except the first sentence since she was summoned. Kidu. Looking at the overly handsome eldest sister in front of her, Sakura whispered. Can we communicate? Absolutely, master. With a smile on his face, Enkidu squatted down gently so that his eyes were level with Sakura. It's really okay. Sakura breathed a sigh of relief. That's great. I remember it was said in the book that the heroic spirits of Berserker's agency will be affected by a disease called madness, making it almost impossible to communicate. Big sister seems to have a different understanding from me. That's great. Quote. It's really great to be able to communicate fluently. Enkidu smiled and nodded. The madness attribute has indeed affected me to a certain extent, but because the master is too magical and excellent, most of the negative effects brought by the madness attribute have been eliminated, so I can show yourself with this picture. Well, to be honest, Enkidu doesn't know what the reason is. He, with the madness attribute, should have appeared in the original mud figure form, and lost most of his sanity, retaining only the original brutality of the beast. But under the influence of a completely unknown force. Today, he not only maintains his human appearance, but also avoids the side effects of rational evaporation while retaining the increase in power of his mad state. To be honest, Enkidu himself was very curious. Although his master looks small, he doesn't look simple at all. While Sakura was busy discussing the specific matters of the Holy Grail War with Enkidu, the atmosphere in the group is also lively. Traveler Ying. Rimuru, so, you are planning to set off to that or something? Kingdom of Ingratia to meet Miss Jing's students, right? Demon King Rimuru. Ah, yes, after all, it is Miss Jing's last commission. I will definitely complete it. I will definitely be fully prepared before setting off. In addition, I will not leave them here this time. Now in the Kingdom of Ingratia, I will take everyone back to Tempest. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Well, indeed, it is much better for you to bring these children back and recruit them. Pioneer Star. Being summoned inexplicably, being abandoned inexplicably, some countries in your world are really doing evil. Style Butterfly Kanae. I feel the same way. Iron Man Tony. By the way, Rimuru, with your current strength, you shouldn't be afraid of Hinata or anything. How do you plan to convince her? In addition, as for Pharmus Kingdom and the Holy Church, how are you going to deal with it? Demon King Rimuru. To be honest, it's a bit of a headache. After all, Hinata is also Miss Shizu's student, so it's impossible to be cruel, but that guy may not believe what I say. As for the Kingdom of Pharmus, if they give up the invasion, I can reluctantly forgive them once before the incident happens. After all, judging them by the future that has not happened yet is too subjective. But if they don't listen to the advice and still attack Tempest under the instigation of Clayman, then I can only say sorry. I am not generous enough and there may be a war to destroy the country. As for the Holy Church, it's a big head. Akatsuki Nagato. What about Clayman? That guy probably can't be let go, right? Demon King Rimuru. Indeed, although my point of view is peaceful development, I will not be merciful to this guy who has already set his sights on Tempest. Iron Man Tony. I actually have another suggestion. Do you want to try Demon's Call now? Demon King Rimuru. Now. But there is no sacrifice. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. Guess whether the black guy who has been observing you needs a sacrifice. Even if you just put in the most ordinary slime, guess whether he will respond to your call. Woolen Cloth. Demon King Rimuru. Rimuru subconsciously took out the mask that Miss Jing left for him, with a somewhat strange expression on his face. He already knew about the existence of the original black through Moyu, but this situation was a bit weird no matter how you looked at it. However, if it can really be summoned, maybe. Let's wait a little longer. Traveler Ying. By the way, Rimuru, have you forgotten one more thing? Demon King Rimuru. What happened? The immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Storm Dragon. Style Butterfly Kanae. Yes, the King of Wisdom has now been able to break the infinite prison. Isn't Rimuru going to let Volud pull him out? Pioneer Star. Oops, what a pitiful dragon. He was almost forgotten by Rimuru. Demon King Rimuru. How can it be repaired? Don't slander me. How could you forget such a thing? It's just that it will take some time to complete the analysis of the city. How could I forget such a thing? After he became the awakening Demon King, the evolved Raphael worked hard, okay. Now there is only one day at most left to unlock the infinite prison. This is slander, naked slander. How could he forget about Voludra? Traveler Ying. I remember that Veldra can share Rimuru's perspective, right? In this case, Veldra seems to have known us one-sidedly. Akatsuki Nagato. That seems to be the case. The immortal King Suzuki Satoru. But we don't rule out the possibility that his perspective will be blocked by the group. Iron Man Tony. That seems to make sense. Demon King Rimuru. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you don't know. I will also share my special experiences during this period with him. Well, I also want to know Voludra's reaction. Woolen Cloth. Pioneer Star. I feel that he wants to go to other worlds more than you do. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. Indeed, in the original world line, Voludra was solidified into 10 Chinese dragons by Niuyi's comics. Demon King Rimuru. This kind of thing is not my fault at all, okay. Can you blame him for this? Can't, right, the immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Chunabu, it has a long history. Traveler Ying. Long history. I said, Mr. Bones, do you want to let your Pandora come out and talk? Pioneer Star. Yes, I'm looking forward to it too. The immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Todoroki is private to Mason, please forgive me for this alone. Let Pandora out. Are you going to release your dark history in middle school for everyone to watch? When I think of that kind of scene, I feel a little shuddering. He died on the spot. It is absolutely impossible to come out. Well, just let Pandora keep guarding the treasure house. Although I feel a little sorry for Pandora. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Let's not talk about me anymore. Li Wei should have the power to destroy the Ghost Dance plan now, right? Style Butterfly Kanae. Why is it me, Mr. Bones, who changed the subject? The immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Feel sorry. Demon King Rimuru. You change the topic a bit abruptly, but it is true that it is better to eliminate things like evil spirits as soon as possible. Kanae, if you need anything, just tell everyone. I used the drop of evil ghost blood you gave me to let the King of Wisdom develop many ways to eliminate evil ghosts. Style Butterfly Kanae. Well, thank you very much, but I probably won't be able to use it. Traveler Ying. No need for it. Have you already dealt with Wushan? Pioneer Star. I'm going, is it so fast? Style Butterfly Kanae. No. Mr. Moyu gave me a lot of means and props to eliminate evil spirits. Personally, I feel that I can't use them all even if I die 100 times. Iron Man Tony. Tisk, don't worry, you are as fast as ever. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. It seems you are very free, Tony. Iron Man Tony. It's not that I'm idle. I'm busy. I'm just distracted. You can't tell. Traveler Ying. So what are you busy with? Developing a new generation of Mark armor. Iron Man Tony. Definitely, if this time is successful, to put it bluntly, I will probably become the second-ranked person in the group. This is me, the powerful and curved genius Tony Stark. Overtaking on the road. No big deal. Free. He is busy now. Ever since his trip to Mexico came back, he has been so busy that he never stops. It has to be said that this alien armor with a completeness of 90%, called the Destroyer, indeed took a lot of effort from him. Pioneer Star. Are you so confident? It does sound like they are going to develop some amazing armor. However, there is no picture or truth. I don't believe it. Is the second sequence in the group that good? The first one in the sequence is undoubtedly Moyu. This guy is so powerful that the people behind him can't even see his tail. The second sequence is undoubtedly Rimuru, who became the Demon King of Awakening. The leaders of the third sequence are Nagato and Suzuki Satoru. Everyone else is following behind. To put it bluntly, even with the armor, Tony can only be ranked third from the bottom in the rankings, and he can bully Kanae and Sakura when they first joined the group. Now you are actually boasting about entering the second sequence and working alongside Rimuru. Is such a thing possible? Demon King Rimuru. Maybe it was like a flash of inspiration followed by an explosion of technology. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Indeed, this possibility is very high. This kind of leap-forward development seems to be very common. It definitely requires sufficient foundation to be able to do it. Trailblazer star. It makes sense. It seems like Tony is not exaggerating. Iron Man Tony. You don't believe me after I told you, do you blame me? Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. It seems that you have obtained the destroyer armor. Iron Man Tony. Yes, I went to Mexico last time after listening to you, and I got to know that shocking boy without fighting. Before I left, he said that he gave me the destroyer armor as a gift, and even the skin of Snake and Shield Bureau was gone. Didn't catch anything. Warrior Kamigawa Moyu. Odin must be very distressed to have such a prodigal son. Destroyer armor, give it away as promised. It can be said that he is so proud that he soars into the sky. In order to build that thing, Odin had to waste all his energy. As a result, Thor turned around and gave it away. Tisk. If you think about it from another person's perspective, your blood pressure will soar. Iron Man Tony. You should be happy for me, right? Forget it, Moyu, my progress is a bit stuck. This thing seems to have a lot to do with magic. I may need your help. There is an urgent need for relevant knowledge in this area. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. You know the rules, factory. Iron Man Tony. I definitely understand the rules, but I think I have successfully crossed that line. I have met Sorcerer Supreme, and she came to me on her own initiative. She was at my house. I feel like I can chat with her. Not bad. Seeing this, Moyu was slightly startled. Has the Ancient One magician approached Tony? When did it happen and why didn't he know about it? Could it be the period when he was in retreat to analyze the original Stone of Time? Alright, so, does the Ancient One magician really want to consider Tony as a candidate for Sorcerer Supreme? If Tony wanted to, that's okay. After all, he really has the ability to become a Supreme. It seems quite fun. A smile appeared at the corner of Moyu's lips, and with a swipe of his hand, the entry-level secret book was instantly copied, then sank directly into the space and delivered to Tony's desk. It would feel pretty good if Tony really sat in the position of Sorcerer Supreme. Iron Man Tony. Got it, I'll hide it, just wait, I'll give you a big surprise when the time comes. Pioneer Star. No, he just ran away. Where is the picture? The Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. I guess he plans to reveal it as the final answer. Traveler Ying. Guys who run away just to satisfy people's appetite are the most annoying. Angry.jpg. Demon King Rimuru. But having said that, Moyu, you should be aware of the armor Tony is going to build, right? Is it really that powerful? Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. The original upper limit was indeed very high, but now I'm a little unsure. The destroyer armor was indeed made by Tony. Ability is indeed impressive. But with this version now, Moyu is a little unsure. The destroyer in the original version was a powerful armor forged by Odin to deal with the Celestials. Even if Odin himself wears it, the increase is extremely powerful. Although Odin was still hammered in the end. But the movie version of the destroyer was knocked down and shape-shifted by Thor's hammer. There is a question mark of huge amounts of whether this destroyer armor still has such a powerful function. And the new version of the armor that Tony researched based on this, the upper limit is even more unclear. Well, although the destroyer has become weaker, Tony himself has become stronger. Now Tony not only possesses extraordinary power, but also plans to get into magic. Under the collision of many sparks, maybe it would be possible for Tony to build a powerful armor. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. Let's forget, I'm too lazy to guess. Anyway, we'll know after Tony builds it. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. That's true, we can just wait and see. Traveler Ying. Hee, if the armor isn't as awesome as he boasts, I will be laughing hard. Pioneer Star. You know how to be happy, Ying, come to my place and you will be a happy messenger even if you don't talk much. I'm so disdainful. Traveler Ying. You're still talking about me, so take a closer look at yourself. Demon King Rimuru. You two are enough. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. Ying, are you planning to go to Inazuma now? Traveler Ying. Going to Inazuma. There's no rush yet. The Death Omen star on Beto's head hasn't returned yet. I can't go even if I want to. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. With the strength of our seniors, it shouldn't be a problem to get through, right? Traveler Ying. No, I don't have much confidence that I can pass through the thunderstorm area off the coast of Inazuma. After all, it is also a blockade set up by the gods. Although it is not impossible for me to pass through the thunderstorm as an ordinary person, I know very well that his luck value has always been very poor, so I won't bet on this probability. If you are accidentally struck by lightning, something unexpected may happen. Even if I talk too much, I will shed tears. Anyway, I am convinced. Ying Mei's luck, how to say it specifically? The good is mixed with the bad is mixed with it, okay. She could encounter a lot of things that others would never encounter or experience in their lifetimes just by walking around. And once they meet, it's basically big trouble. To be honest, if Ying chose to brave a thunderstorm to get to Dao Wife at this time, she might be struck directly into Yuanxia Palace by a thunderstorm. Traveler Ying. Actually, I'm fine myself. What I'm worried about is Paimon. Although he is mysterious, he is really fragile. If I take a thunderbolt, nothing will happen to me, but if Paimon takes a hit too for a moment, I was afraid that she would become familiar with her immediately. Pioneer Star. That's a complete acquaintance. It's really emergency food. Demon King Rimuru. This joke is a bit cold, Hoshi. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. I have a way. I still have a lot of scrolls with thunder resistance. If Senior really wants to survive a thunderstorm, it's okay for me to give him a few to protect Paimon. Traveler Ying. Thank you, but it's really not necessary. I'd better go to Dao Wife on the Death Omen with peace of mind. Oh, by the way, Moyu, I saw Kong the day before yesterday. I bumped into him when I was following a guy named Danes Reeb to track down the Apostles of the Abyss. As expected, that guy joined the Abyss. The Apostle saw that he was talking like the Prince of the Abyss. I asked him a bunch of questions, but his expression was confused. In the end, he could only change the subject hastily, saying that we would meet again at the end, and just brought him with him. He ran away in despair. This guy must be seriously ill. In addition, I originally wanted to use the Sharingan to give him Genjutsu, but it failed. Does this thing work? Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. This is normal. Do you think you would be afraid of the 3 Magatama illusions in your heyday? Traveler Ying. That's right, that fellow Sora has obviously recovered his strength. Why don't you tell me how to unblock it once and for all? It's simply abominable. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. I think, maybe he intends to let you, Senior, experience more things to change your initial thoughts or something. Akatsuki Nagato. I think this possibility is very high. Humans, or creatures that are easily affected by the external environment. If you experience the same type of things too many times, your thoughts will change to a certain extent without you realizing it. Deflection. Style Butterfly Kanae. It seems that Mr. Sora knows Ying very well. He knows that in his current state, Ying will never agree to certain things from him, so he can only wait for time and wait for Ying's mind to change before speaking. Iron Man Tony. Maybe it's for the sake of love, but there's a hidden secret that no one even knows about Moyu. Traveler Ying. I have thought about your statement so many times in my mind, and I'm tired of it. Kong knows my character, don't I know his character? I think there is a high probability that his brain is bewitched by the abyss. Lost. Warrior Kamigawa Moyu. This is not necessarily true. People's thinking and personality can change. Don't forget that 500 years ago, Sora had already walked through Teyvat. Ying, you are repeating it now. He has walked this journey once before. He probably believes that you will have the same thoughts as him after this trip. Traveler Ying. Big head. Trailblazer Star. Some things really cannot be said in advance, but because if you say it too early, there is a high probability that something bad will happen. Demon King Rimuru. Hey, Hoshi, haven't you always hated fixed scripts? Why are you saying nice things now? Trailblazer Star. This has nothing to do with the script, it's about human nature. Human nature is sophisticated. Actually, the summary is just one sentence. Even if the future is already determined, we still have to decide the process of reaching that ending. Just like when a person is born, he will die, and the endpoint is nothing more than an urn or a dirt bag. Do you know that you will not live after knowing this? Style and Butterfly Kanae. Hoshi, when did you turn into a philosopher? Pioneer Star. What kind of philosophy is this? As long as it is something everyone understands, okay. The Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. It's really not necessarily. Akatsuki Nagato. A lot of people in the group can't be considered people, right? For example, you and me, Rimuru and Mr. Moyu. Moreover, Hoshi and Ying are not ordinary to a certain extent. People. Traveler. Pioneer Star. Demon King Rimuru. What you say makes sense and cannot be refuted. According to your theory, Kanae and Sakura will probably be there soon. Style Butterfly Kanae. No way, I am still an ordinary human being. Traveler Ying. Armed with Otsutsuki's gene sequence, controlling the power of the water element, and having a pair of ultimate reincarnation eyes, are ordinary people. Ordinary people, are there any ordinary people like this? Ordinary people want to. Can you use some bad language? Pioneer Star. It's really a bit difficult. In other words, Kanae's basic data is still a bit low. When she can support the full power output of the reincarnated eye and Otsutsuki gene sequence weapons. The combat power is completely enough to equal Nagato and Suzuki Satoru. Just like this, are you still an ordinary person? Style Butterfly Kanae. Well. Yes, in just a few days without realizing it. She seems to have exceeded the limit that ordinary people can reach. Kanae was also in a trance for a moment. How long has it been since joining the group? It feels unreal, but she knew exactly who brought all this. Style Butterfly Chanel Zhao Lihao Wei. Sakura and I are just relatively lucky. Mr. Moyu is already preparing everyone's genetic sequence weapons. I believe it won't take long. Demon King Rimuru. That's right. Speaking of which, Moyu, how is the progress? Traveler Ying. I ask the same questions, I'm super looking forward to it. Trailblazer Star. Me too. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. Don't worry, Rimuru's progress is the slowest. After all, you are not human at all, so matching is more troublesome. Followed by Suzuki Satoru, Hoshi and Ying and Nagato's progress are all at 9%. Over 15, it can be done tonight. Demon King Rimuru. I knew it. It's either a human being or a flaw. But he's used to it now. There's nothing wrong with slime. No, he's now a demonic viscous spirit. Demon King Rimuru. Ahem, I feel like there is something missing in today's group. Don't you feel it? The Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. What's missing? Demon King Rimuru. When Moyu is in the group, who is the most active? Traveler Ying. Kanae and Sakura, hehe. Style Butterfly Kanae. I'm here right now, and besides, how can you say it's so, right, where's Sakura? Pioneer Star. At this point in time, we're probably in class, right? There's a lot of water in class, isn't it good? Akatsuki Nagato. But, didn't I say yesterday that the transfer procedures have not been completed yet, and that it will take at least 3 days? Style Butterfly Kanae. Maybe she's taking a nap, I'll do it. Ding, the World Line Where group member, Tasaka Sakura, is located has changed, and the mission is being generated. Mission The Mother of Evil in Humanity. Target World. Shinyu Fuyuki. Mission Content. Complete the Holy Grail Ritual, release the evil of this world in the Holy Grail, and cause the evil of this world to be born in the world. Mission Time. 7 days. Mission Reward. Evil Third Method, Godhead 1. All participants in the mission. Participants. All. Task 2 Final Winner. Target World. Shinyu Fuyuki. Mission Content. Win the final victory of the Holy Grail War, by any means. Mission Time. 7 days. Mission Reward. Evil Third Method distributed based on the participant's contribution. The higher the contribution, the more complete the ability. Who can participate? Limited to 4 people. Task 3 Wish Asgardian. Target World. Shingyu Fuyuki. Mission Content. Assist group member Tasaka Sakura to win the final victory in the Holy Grail War and purify the evil in this world within the Holy Grail. Mission Time. 7 days. Mission Reward. Random Noble Phantasm 1. The specifications of the Noble Phantasm will be increased depending on the participant's contribution. The higher the contribution, the higher the rarity, mystery and strength of the Noble Phantasm. Who can participate? Limited to 2 people. Note: the content of the task will be selected by voting by the group members. You can abstain from voting or give up the task. The candidates for this task will also be selected by voting by all members. You can abstain from voting or vote by yourself. Style Butterfly Kanae. Looks like I don't need to come, Sakura. Are you right? Traveler Ying. That's awesome. It actually triggered a group mission. It's okay, Sakura. Demon Lord Rimuru. Just look at the mission and you will know what Sakura was doing during the time she was diving. Hehe, you actually want to personally participate in the Holy Grail War. You are quite brave. The Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Your courage is commendable. Akatsuki Nagato. I feel that there is definitely a hidden secret in this. Well, it's my personal feeling. Pioneer Star. Don't feel it, you are right. Based on Sakura's character, this should be Nanli, right? Style Butterfly Kanae. The case has been solved. Sakura, aren't you going to explain it to everyone? Iron Man Tony. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Sakura actually set off on a mission. Don't worry, you are guilty of a heinous crime. Kamigawa Warrior Moyu. If you can't speak, shut up. Tasaka Sakura. It's over, brother Moyu also knows. Lying on the bed, Sakura buried her face in the pillow, her face full of frustration. Why is the mission triggered at this time? Isn't there no surprise at all like this? Sakura hammered the pillow fiercely, her face fell, and she turned her attention to the group. The group tasks have all been released, and the surprises are long gone. There is no point in hiding it. However, although the surprise is gone, it still feels good. If Brother Moyu could come to her world and even participate in the Holy Grail War with her. Whoever wants that Holy Grail wants it. She wants to go to the amusement park and ride the Ferris wheel with Brother Moyu. However, do task candidates also rely on voting by group members? Tasaka Sakura. Sorry, Sakura has made everyone worried. Currently, Sakura has obtained the qualification to participate in the Holy Grail War and summoned heroic spirits. Finally, although it is very presumptuous. But please everyone must vote for Brother Moyu, please. Demon King Rimuru. Don't worry, even if you don't ask, everyone knows that your Brother Moyu will definitely be one of the candidates. What we are fighting for now is another quota. After all, although the rewards don't look great, but it's nice to be able to play in Sakura's world. Iron Man Tony. Ahem, although the development of the new armor has not been completed yet, I will not quit. Traveler Point Ying. +1. Pioneer Star. +1. Akatsuki Nagato. It seems that everyone has noticed that the tacit understanding is very good, but I also plan to participate. The Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. After all, it is Sakura's wish. We are not short of that strength. We know how to choose. Although there is only the last place left, well, the job of this toolman is still left to me. Style Butterfly Kanae. Then I will also participate. I happen to lack actual combat experience, so I will just treat it as preliminary preparations to eliminate Muzan Matsuji. Demon King Rimuru. Ouch, I almost believed it, Kanae. Iron Man Tony. That's right, your excuse is too lame. Style Butterfly Shane. Traveler Ying. Let me add to the rule. Everyone in the group has one vote. Except for Moyu's vote, which is reserved for himself. Everyone's vote cannot be for themselves, otherwise they will not be able to choose the second place. People are here, do you all agree? Demon King Rimuru. Agree. Akatsuki Nagato. Agree. The Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Agree. Trailblazer Star. I agree, this is the time to put your personal charm and means to use, everyone, come on. The group was silent for a while, and the conclusion came to an instant. Ding, Mission 3 Feet Wish Asgardian, has been generated. Participating group members. Moyu, Rimuru. The transmission will begin in 30 seconds, please prepare. Demon King Rimuru. Yeah, a great victory. Style Butterfly Shane. Congratulations, congratulations, although I still feel a little regretful. Iron Man Tony. I lost. Pioneer Star. Tisk, Rimuru, remember to start the live broadcast. Although I can't go there, when you enter the live broadcast room, just pretend that you are going there too. Traveler Ying. Apart from not being able to touch it, it's fine. Anyway, everyone's goal is not to reward the mission. Akatsuki Nagato. Looking forward to it. Immortal King Suzuki Satoru. Yes, this is the first time for our new group members to experience live broadcast. Is it really that magical? Traveler Ying. You will know when you get in. Countdown is over, transmission begins. Brother Moyu is coming. Sakura quickly jumped up from the bed, ran to the mirror and looked at herself carefully. Fortunately, the clothes are just a little wrinkled and the hair is a little messy. Quickly adjusting her posture, Sakura touched her fists, gently opened the door and stood in the yard waiting. Master, are you waiting for someone to arrive? Enkidu, who had transformed into a spirit, looked at Sakura's actions with some surprise. Well, Mo Yugao is coming. Sakura raised her face with a smile, her eyes filled with anticipation. It seems Master R likes it very much. A subtle smile appeared on Enkidu's face. Sakura's main purpose of participating in the Holy Grail War has been told to him. Enkidu expressed no objection to this, after all, he did not need the Holy Grail. But it is his duty to fulfill Sakura's wishes and tasks. Although at the moment he didn't notice any strange fluctuations at all. There wasn't even any male approaching this direction within a few kilometers. Well, the other party is a magician after all. Maybe the other party can also use space magic. Definitely. Sakura nodded quickly without any surprise. Sakura loves brother Moyu the most. Oh, I heard this when I first came here. Moyu, you are really guilty. However, Sakura doesn't welcome me. I'm so sad. Unknowingly, two figures appeared silently. Enkidu, who had been on alert out of curiosity, didn't even react. Master, be careful. Enkidu immediately appeared in front of Sakura, protecting Sakura behind him with one hand, and looked at the two people in front of him, one big and one small, with an extremely solemn expression. He didn't know if they were human beings. Ordinary person. Magician. No one believes this. The magician is pretty much the same. How could an ordinary magician put so much pressure on him? Brother, don't worry. While Enkidu was extremely cautious, Sakura jumped directly across the space and ran into Moyu's arms. Enkidu blinked, then dropped his guard. Although it's dangerous, it's okay as long as it's one of your own. These two existences indeed do not have any malicious intent. He can still perceive this. Making such a big noise quietly. Moyu held Ying with one hand and pinched her pimpled cheek with one hand. But let's forget it this time. You must never put yourself in danger in the future, you know. Oh, Sakura knows. Sakura nodded obediently. Ah, you completely ignored my existence. I'm hurt. Rimuru covered his face with one hand, looking hurt. Hello Rimuru ne. Sakura tilted her head and checked for a long time before speaking. Phew, Rimuru felt like a sword had been stabbed in his heart. How are you, sister? I'm a boy. If you're a boy, call me brother. That doesn't seem right. Strictly speaking, he is now. How can it be repaired? No, even so, I can't be called sister. In his mind, he is still a man. Well, at least he was a man before he was reincarnated. A smile appeared on Rimuru's lips, and he explained very seriously. Sakura, please call me brother, Gao Gao. Sakura was stunned, but it looks like she is obviously my sister. Rimuru's mouth twitched. Who makes him now the mimetic image of Miss Jing? He is naturally biased towards femininity, but it's just not obvious. In order to correct how Sakura calls herself, should I make the mimicry slightly more masculine? Although Rimuru can be a man or a woman. Moyu rubbed Ying's little head, but it's better to call her brother. Okay then. Sakura nodded calmly. Hello Rimuru ni. Ah, great. Rimuru breathed a sigh of relief, then raised his right hand slightly, and a green jade pendant appeared in his palm. Here, Sakura, this is a greeting gift, bite it off. Xiaoying glanced at Moyu subconsciously. Yeah, Moyu nodded slightly. It's okay, I'll be fine. Then, thank you Rimuru-ni. Sakura then raised her hand and took the jade pendant handed over by Rimuru. Yoshi. Rimuru nodded happily, and then looked at Enkidu beside him. Sakura, this is Enkidu, right? Facing Rimuru's look, Enkidu nodded with a smile on his face. Moyu touched his chin. You two look a bit alike. Can't we get over this topic? Rimuru stared at Moyu with dead fish eyes. Of course he knows Enkidu. If we want to talk about what they have in common. The only thing is that it's right. Fine. Moyu shrugged, looked at Enkidu and said, Enkidu is now a mad-level servant, right? Yes. Enkidu nodded slightly. That's it. Moyu nodded slightly and thought for a moment. Rimuru, do you want to be a non-staff member, or do you plan to participate in the Holy Grail War for fun? Me. Rimuru smiled and said, it doesn't matter whether you participate or not. I'm just here to have fun. But if it makes it easier for Sakura to win the Holy Grail War, it's not impossible to participate. But I don't have any command seals now, how can I participate? Just grab one. Moyu gently raised his hand, and a projection appeared in his hand. Well, just keep an eye on him. This guy is a pure murderer. He will obtain the command spell before the Holy Grail War starts. Then you can just cut off his beard. I'm quite curious, based on your appearance, what kind of heroic spirit can be summoned? Heroic spirits are summoned. Rimuru glanced at the projection and nodded slightly. I understand, to be honest, I'm a little curious myself. Then when do we set off? Moyu felt it for a moment. Then he said, there are still 7 days, don't worry, we can definitely finish it on the last day, let's just use the previous time to play, right? Yeah, no problem. Rimuru nodded in agreement. His original purpose was to come here to play. Of course there is no reason to disagree. Okay. Sakura cheered. Where do you want to go, Sakura? Moyu asked, lowering his head slightly. I don't know, Xiaoying said softly. Brother Moyu just decides. No way. Moyu smiled and shook his head. As the host, it is definitely up to Sakura to make the decision. Okay. Sakura's eyes lit up. Then Sakura, think about it. Seeing this scene, Enkidu was stunned. Although he doesn't care much about the Holy Grail War. But these two looked like they didn't care at all. Are you confident that you can defeat the other 5 servants in one day and win the final victory? The Holy Grail War is approaching. Generally speaking, the time of the Holy Grail War is not limited. As long as the 7 heroic spirits are gathered together, the fight can begin. As for how long the fight will last and whether to fight or not, it all depends on the choice of the masters. A Holy Grail War will generally last from 7 days to a month. If the fight is slower, or if someone avoids the fight, it may even be postponed for more than 2 months. But if you go faster, you can finish it within 3 to 7 days. This depends on the strength of the contestants. If an absolute trump card is summoned, it is not unusual to break through the Holy Grail War in one night. In this round of the 4th Holy Grail War, the only 2 people known to be the top strong ones are Gilgamesh and Enkidu. If these 2 guys use their full firepower without any scruples, they can kill the other 5 knights including the master in a day, and then the 2 of them will have the final battle. However, it is a pity that there are 2 more completely unreasonable guys in this Holy Grail War. This kind of scene will probably never happen again. While the Holy Grail War was already starting, Moyu finally brought Sakura to Fuyuki City. A few days were short, and the 2 of them were not enough to visit all the fun places in the world, but at least the smile on Sakura's face never faded. Inside Fuyuki Airport, 2 figures, one large and one small, stepped off the plane. Well, this is Sakura's request. The last time I went from Fuyuki to Finland was by plane. Sakura wanted to experience it again, so Moyu gave up the idea of teleporting directly. Just after getting off the plane, Moyu turned around and looked at the deserted area and said softly. Enkidu, please follow your inner wishes and act independently. I think you should want to visit someone, right? But the master's safety, Enkidu said with a little hesitation. Brother Moyu is here, Xiaoying is safe. Xiaoying tilted her head and smiled. But, don't worry, Moyu said with a smile. I don't think anyone in this world can cross my protection and hurt Sakura. You should know this. Understood, thank you very much, Mr. Moyu. No need. Moyu waved his hand. Well, by the way, you are familiar with the stage that guy is in now. It feels good to reenact history. Enkidu nodded subconsciously. According to Mr. Moyu's information, the Gil summoned by the head of the Tasaka family, one of the 3 imperial families in the Holy Grail War, was exactly him in the era of Tyrant. Indeed, Gil in the era of Tyrants really needed his persuasion as the heavenly lock. Since arriving in Fuyuki, I have already known Gil's aura. Presumably, the other party must be the same. This time, I must give some good persuasion. Having made a decision, Enkidu exited his spiritual state and bowed slightly towards Sakura. Master, if there is any need, please summon him with the command spell at any time. Enkidu will definitely rush back as soon as possible. As the sharpest weapon in the master's hand, he can be used at will. I will. Sakura smiled and winked. Sister Enkidu, go meet your good friends. You must have fun. Then, I'm sorry. Enkidu nodded slightly, straightened his body and took a step back slightly, and his figure disappeared. And at the same time, Tasaka family. Gil, who was already a little impatient, suddenly opened his half-lidded eyes after sensing Enkidu's aura. Completely ignoring Tokiomi in front of him, he turned his gaze towards the direction of Tumu Airport. It's actually, is it you? The laziness completely dissipated, Gilgamesh's eyes even showed an extremely excited color, and he burst out laughing wildly. Ha 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 ha. It seems that in this war, I really have to fight with my strength. Interesting, interesting. Wang Yo. Tokiomi looked at Gilgamesh's changed posture with some confusion. Shut up, Tokiomi. Gilgamesh shouted angrily without looking back. While I'm still in a good mood, please step back. This stupid minister really has no eyesight at all. If he hadn't served him like a courtier, he would have even taken a look at this kind of gardener. Now you actually want to disturb his reunion with his best friend. No matter how ignorant you are, there must be a limit. Tokiomi, who was reprimanded by Gilgamesh, slowly lowered his head, his expression a little ugly, but he still did enough on the surface and slowly exited the study. Ignoring Tokiomi's departure, Gilgamesh held one hand, and an object mixed with golden and red light fell into his palm. Then the figure turned into a flash of lightning and shot straight into the sky. On the other side, Enkidu, who noticed Gil's movements, also had a smile on his face, and also turned into a bolt of lightning and disappeared instantly. Fighting is necessary, but not in Fuyuki. Otherwise, once the 2 noble phantoms are activated, at least a piece of land within 100 miles will have to sink into the sea and leave. The ground beneath their feet simply couldn't support the aftermath of the 2 people's output. You have to find a wide, deserted desert. It's coming. In the Fuyuki market, Rimuru, who was carrying a small figure and chewing a bunch of snacks in his hand, suddenly raised his head and looked towards the sky. What's wrong, Rimuru-ni? With taiyaki in her mouth, the little girl looked at Rimuru, who suddenly stopped walking with some confusion. That guy Moyu is finally here. Rimuru blinked. Ilia, do you want to go with me to watch the battle between Enkidu and Gilgamesh? I think it will be spectacular. Gimpy-ka is going to fight Enkidu. Ilia was stunned for a moment, with a glimmer of light in her eyes. Okay, go, definitely go, I've long wanted to see that annoying and stinky Jinjin Pika get beaten. Yoshi, let's go. Rimuru temporarily put away the snacks in his hand, raised his hand and pressed Ilia's shoulder, and the 2 of them disappeared directly into the street. At the same time, outside the airport, Sakura's curious eyes looked at the combination of the Snow Princess and the Black Knight not far away. Brother Moyu, is that Ilia's mother Irisville over there? Well, that's her. That's it. Sakura nodded slightly. Brother Rimuru and sister Ilia should be in Fuyuki now, will they meet? Probably. Brother Moyu, what do you think will happen if 2 Ilia meet? Seeing the Snow Princess and the Black Knight getting into the car and leaving, a smile suddenly appeared in Sakura's eyes. It seems like he is looking forward to something happening. Moyu was slightly startled. It would indeed be interesting for 2 Ilias from different world lines to meet, but compared to the meeting of 2 children, I am more curious about Irisville's expression when she sees Ilia. What does it look like? Brother Moyu has a really bad taste. Sakura covered her mouth and chuckled. Does Brother Moyu want Ilia and the King of Knights to fight in front of Aunt Ali? Both each other. Moyu shrugged, but felt a little moved. But Sakura's suggestion sounds very good, what about asking Ilia for her opinion then? Although Sakura's personality has changed a bit, it's not a big deal. At least you won't suffer a loss. Sakura, who develops normally, has a BB personality. But even so, he is countless times better than the other line. Let's forget it. Sakura shook her head. I don't deserve this evil person. Forget it, let's not talk about this anymore, brother Moyu, I'm a little hungry. Okay, let's go have a meal first. Aha. The other side, in the barren mountains far away from Fuyuki City. Two thunderbolts stopped on two adjacent peaks almost at the same time. Eyes facing each other, the expressions on both of their faces were a faint smile. With a slight snort, the smile on Gilgamesh's face gradually became wild, and his figure instantly flew into the sky. With a turn of his right hand, the golden treasury key appeared. The king's treasure house is opened, the treasure is revealed, and scarlet lines rise into the sky. Gilgamesh gently grasped the 5 fingers of his right hand, and a strange weapon with a round shape appeared in Gilgamesh's hand. Go away from the sword. Sing to your heart's content. The red lines on the sword lit up, and the 3 cylindrical blades rotated at high speed, and the scarlet light almost illuminated the night. On a half-windless night, violent hurricanes suddenly set off. In the sky, dark clouds rolled, covering the bright stars, and scarlet thunder continued to roll in the clouds. Just the sequence of EA has already created a scene of doomsday. There is no doubt that at this moment, Gilgamesh has activated the omniscient and almighty star. The EA in his hand is at full power, and he has reached the peak state of increasing the power of the other treasure circles in the king's treasure house. Facing the other servants, Gilgamesh looked like he was having fun. But only when facing Enkidu, there will never be any thought of taking it lightly. As long as we meet and fight, we must be in a full state. I'm very happy that I can compete with you on the merits of performance like this again. Let me think about it, to use the parlance of this era, that is. I'm going to challenge with all my strength, Gil. Enkidu, with a smile on his face, his hands slightly open, a strange vitality emerging from the sun. A flower bud bloomed, and golden light suddenly illuminated the earth. Wisps of golden thunder echoed with the red lightning in the sky. The fighting spirit of the two people intertwined and reached its peak in an instant. EA with the highest full power output, Tianjisuo showing its true posture. Chant, start. Speaking of the beginning, when the heaven and earth were created, nothingness also applauded it, tore the world apart with my sword of deviation, and circled the mortar of the stars. Hell in the sky is the end of the night before the creation of the world. What is awakened at this moment is the breath of the stars. I will walk with the world, so. The precious phantom is ready to go. Heaven and earth are at odds with each other and the star of creation. Enuma Elish. O people, I hope to bind the gods Enuma Elish. The anti-realm noble phantasm that cuts the world apart. The noble phantasm of anti-supermenace that seals and penetrates. The two were in full swing, one up and one down, colliding head-on. The sky and the earth were illuminated. The dazzling light illuminates the night like day. Gas explosion. No, a nuclear bomb exploded. It's a bit dazzling. In the distance, Rimuru, who was watching the battle, looked at this scene with emotion. In spite of everything, these two guys are really powerful. With his current fighting power as the awakening Demon King, he is not sure whether he can win against these two guys. Heroic spirits. Are they all so perverted? Thinking of this, Rimuru subconsciously looked at Ilia beside him. Ilia scratched her head in embarrassment. If she is in the state of a star girl, she should be able to withstand the full power output of the multi-component saturation bombardment, right? See Gui, girl. Rimuru immediately gave a thumbs up. Well, Ilia shrank her neck. But Ruby and Sapphire are not here, so there's nothing I can do. Rimuru shrugged. It doesn't matter. We don't need to deal with this troublesome guy anyway. Just let Moyu take action by himself. We are just here to join in the fun. Is this really good? Ilia said with some embarrassment. And, Einsburn. Don't worry, that guy Moyu keeps his word. Rimuru waved his hand. What's more, since I promised Sakura, I will definitely handle it for you. I'm so sorry. Ilia immediately bowed. Not only can I not be of help, but I have also been causing you trouble. I am so useless. I am really sorry. being summoned to become a servant. As a result, not only was he unable to help the master. On the contrary, it caused a lot of trouble for various reasons. Even eating and drinking for free all the time. What a shame. If Moyu knew about it, he would definitely be laughed at, right? Ruby. Why wasn't he summoned with her? If only one of Ruby and Sapphire were by her side, she wouldn't be as useless as she is now. This is my fault. Rimuru scratched his head helplessly. I didn't expect to summon Ilia at that time. I should have caused you trouble. Who knows what his expression was when Ilia came out of the magic circle. Let her fight other heroic spirits and participate in the Holy Grail War or something. This is an underage girl. It's a rare scene. Watching this live broadcast is not in vain. Suzuki Satoru touched his chin and looked at the two people in the distance who were fighting madly with interest. A battle scene of this level is indeed quite gorgeous. But at the same time, Suzuki Hiroshi secretly felt a cold sweat for himself. If I were involved in this battle, I would probably be beaten based on my own ability, right? Definitely, if you take the 20 in the treasure house and start the war with sufficient preparations before the war, then you won't be too timid. After all, 20 was originally transformed from a fragment of the world tree. According to the division of this world, it is a noble phantasm equivalent to that of a world-class one. It's enough for these two guys to possess. He has many of these things. Unfortunately, none of them can be easily used. It would be a bit scary for a Holy Grail war to involve all beings of this level. Tony shook his head and sighed. This wave of bombardment just now has completely prevented the explosion of a large-yield nuclear bomb. And the destructive power of each stream of light is almost the same as that of a Tomahawk missile. How many of these are so densely packed? If these two guys just think about it, they might be able to overthrow the entire United States, right? It's indeed a bit surprising. Kanae opened her mouth, but in the end she could only shake her head. Although I have witnessed the battle between Moyu and Kagaya, it was Modang's trick on Kagaya. More often than not, they use rules to pressure people. The extremely destructive ability is of little use. As far as battle scenes are concerned, the one in front of you is undoubtedly more shocking. Love. Xing blinked. According to Moyu, can a scene of this level be suppressed with restraint? If there is no restraint, that weird round sword can probably tear apart continental plates, right? Indeed, Yingmei nodded slightly. It is said to be an anti-realm treasure. If you simply consider the destructive power, it should not be surprising that it reaches this level. Tisk tisk tisk. Tony smacked his lips. Thankfully I'm not the one participating in the mission this time, otherwise. Although this time the mission has Moyu's secret. But when he thought that he might face a monster of this level, Tony trembled all over. It was impossible to beat him, and he didn't even know how he might have died. I was hit hard. You see, I continued to study my armor. Tony said he was shocked and left the live broadcast room directly. He continued to study his destroyer armor. If the Heiko that I boasted about before cannot be achieved, I will probably be laughed at severely. He ran away. Yingmei shrugged. Rimuru, come on, I have something to do, so I'm hiding. Me too. Xing also withdrew with Ying. Come on, sleepy Mulu. Kanae waved her hand towards Rimuru, and her figure disappeared. Nagato and Suzuki Satoru looked at each other, nodded towards Rimuru, and left. It seems that more than one person was hit. Seeing this scene, Rimuru turned off the live broadcast room. I have to work hard too. Let's go, Ilia, let's go back. Since that guy Moyu has arrived, let him handle the matters here. I'll go to Einsburn with you tomorrow. Oh, okay, let's go back quickly. At the same time, in Fuyuki City, both the Holy Church and the Magicians Association mobilized their manpower to rush towards the scene of the accident. The Holy Grail War caused such a big commotion. How to remain mysterious? Is this something that can be explained by a gas explosion? Blanche, as the manager of Fuyuki, Tokiomi Tosaka was also very anxious at the moment. There is no doubt that Gilgamesh is definitely one of the instigators of this scene. At this moment, he was looking at the command spell in his hand, constantly weighing the pros and cons. Things have already reached this level. Using a command seal to bring Gilgamesh back seems like the gain outweighs the gain. But as the manager of Fuyuki's leyline, I must set an example. However, combined with Gilgamesh's previous attitude. Tokiomi Tosaka has some hesitation again. Should I use this command spell or not? Saber, in this case, do you know the reason? Irisville, who was playing at the beach with Artoria, looked at the unusual light that kept flashing in the distant sky with amazement. I felt an extremely strong magic wave. Artoria's face was also solemn. There is no doubt that the movement was caused by the battle between the servants, and at least an anti-army or anti-city level noble phantasm was used. The Battle of the Servants. Irisville looked at Artoria with some worry. Then, is Saber confident in defeating it? Don't worry, Irisville, I will definitely bring you final victory. Artoria put one hand on her chest and said solemnly. She also longs for the Holy Grail, so she will naturally try her best to fight for it. Although the scene in the distance looks very scary. But it's not certain who will win in the end. The opponent has a noble phantasm that can be used against armies or even cities, so doesn't she have one? How do you know who is stronger and who is weaker without fighting? I'm very relieved, Saber. With Artoria's assurance, the smile reappeared on Olivier's face. Should we go over now and take a look? No, it's too dangerous. Artoria refused without any hesitation. At least until we meet up with Kuritsugu and your safety is guaranteed, I can set off to investigate. Although she is not afraid of that level of battle. But it may not be able to protect Irisville very well. After all, Irisville's body is very fragile, and even a full wave is not something she can bear. As for leaving Irisville and going alone, that Zhao Nuo's is not an option either. What should I do if Irisville, who is alone, meets another master or even a servant? Although I feel a little regretful that I missed this great opportunity to understand the strength of the enemy servants. But there is no way, protecting Irisville has a higher priority. Hearing this, Irisville smiled and nodded. Then, well, I'll leave it to you, my knight. My pleasure. The other end, Iskander, who had already noticed the battle, had already summoned the divine wheel and forcibly dragged Weber towards the battlefield. Kenneth stayed in the hotel and sent Umuzanduo out without any hesitation. The noise caused by this battle. It's really big. Brother Moyu, is Sister Enkidu fighting over there? Yes, he has already started a fight with his best friend. Sister Enkidu will definitely win. Donkey. Ilia, do you know where your other self is? Looking at the castle standing in the ice and snow ahead, and the magic traps scattered outside. In order not to alarm the people inside, Rimuru turned to look at Ilia beside him. When Rimuru asked this question, Ilia was completely stunned. I don't know either. I didn't grow up here. How could I know that me, in this world would be in that room? Her fate is completely different from that of Ilia in this world. She didn't understand Einsburn or anything like that at all. Okay, it seems we can only call in. Rimuru shrugged. I will leave it to you to convince 6-year-old Ilia later. I will be responsible for subduing it and rewriting the cognition of other dolls. Can I do it? Ilia said it was a little numb, and her palms began to sweat. Well, Rimuru touched his chin. It depends on your own choice, whether it is an absurd truth or a white lie. After all, you are from the same position in different time and space. There is also a certain connection. Then, I will try my best. No, I will definitely convince her. Magical girl Ilia touched her fist seriously. The same as Ilia. No matter what, now that she knows the truth about the future, she must prevent Ilia in this world from reaching that chilling ending. So, let's do it. Rimuru raised his right hand with a faint smile. Raphael, clear all the obstacles in front of you, and also find the other Ilia in the castle. Answer. Completed. The target is in the third room on the left side of the second floor of the castle. The vital signs are currently stable. As expected of Raphael, Rimuru smiled and nodded, and then teleported directly to the castle with Ilia. Ilia, looking at her, who was obviously smaller than her and slightly immature, Ilia, as a magical girl, swooped down and held her tightly in her arms. Although calling his own name is a little weird. However, the little self is so cute, I can't help but want to rub it into my arms. Let go of me. The small Ilia, who was held as a doll, twisted her body to break free from the arms of the large Ilia, and looked at the large person in front of her with vigilance. Who are you? Why do you look exactly like me? Why did you break into Einsburn's castle? If you don't give me a good explanation, I will let Sarah arrest you. Large Ilia was stunned for a moment, then rolled her eyes. I am sister. Ilia, the trumpet, had questions all over her head, and then her face turned red. This is impossible. I am the only mother's child. Where did you come from here? Why is it impossible? The large Ilia bent over, pressed the small Ilia's shoulders with both hands, and said with a smile on her face. You have seen it now. I have the same hair and eyes as you, and I am taller and older than you. I am definitely your sister. Fraud. The child Ilia moved the hands on her shoulders. I don't believe it. Suddenly a guy who looks the same as me appears and claims to be my sister. The trumpet-sized Ilia's face was full of tension and resistance at the moment. How can she accept this kind of thing? Is Kuritsugu outside? No, it's impossible for her to look the same as her. Here, this is the evidence. Seeing the trumpet Ilia didn't believe it, the big Ilia directly used her special move. He held the young Ilia's cheeks in his hands, and their foreheads touched each other. An extremely special sense suddenly spread in the hearts of the two of them. After a while, the touching foreheads slowly separated. The trumpet Ilia touched her forehead and slowly calmed down. The feeling of having two hearts stuck together is unmistakable. Connected by blood, heart to heart. Daughter, you really, sister? Definitely. Seeing that he had subdued the small Ilia with this move, the large Ilia's face was full of smiles at this moment. This trick is also tried and tested for Moyu. Although she is often subdued by Xiaohei using this trick. Obviously this is impossible. The trumpet-sized Ilia looked a little dazed. Mom and Kuritsugu are lying to me. Large Ilia coughed lightly. Anyway, now is not the time to discuss this. Kuritsugu and mother are in danger now, and Einzburn is also in danger. Sister, I broke in after a lot of effort. Real. The small-sized Ilia's face tightened, and her little hands pulled the hem of the large-sized Ilia's skirt. Then let's go help Mom and Kuritsugu quickly, and take Sarah and Rigolet with us. Don't worry, leave it to me. Patting her unexpected chest, Yinhao Ilia confidently made a promise. Should we inform Grandpa Ahad? The trumpet Ilia seemed to have remembered something, raised her head and asked. No. Ilia, who had no idea who Grandpa Ahad was, waved her hand without hesitation. And if he knew, he would definitely not let us go find our mother. Quote! Quote. The trumpet Ilia nodded quickly. While the two were discussing, Rimuru, who had completely taken care of the Einzburn family, pushed through the door with Sarah and Rigolet. Looking at the two Ilias, one big and one small, in front of him, Rimuru was a little dazed, and then smiled and said, Ilia, it's time for us to leave. Come here. Sister, who is he? Help, yes, the help my sister hired. Rimuru's mouth twitched. Good guy, you are so good, Ilia. He is clearly the master, but now he is reduced to a thug. Sella, Legolet, looking at the two people in front of her, the big Ilia said hello with a smile on her face. After all, it can be said that she was raised by Sarah. Miss Ilia. 2. Sarah and Rigolet behind Rimuru were also confused for a moment. However, under Rimuru's mental intervention, he had no extra thoughts and just quickly arranged his position. Since there are two Miss Ilia, there is exactly one for each of them. Okay, let's go back and get ready. Rimuru clapped his hands gently, and the teleportation magic was ready. A subtle light shrouded the 5 people, and then disappeared with them all. Only Einzburn Castle, which was a little too quiet, remained. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.